Then it goes a little something like.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 21 of the Ballrooms and Bachelors podcast, where we talk about our experience as ballroom dancing students, Dancing with the Stars, and all things Bachelor. I'm Camille.
And I'm Matthew.
So on today's episode, we're going to talk about the rest of the dance competition, because last week we talked a little bit about my standard competition that I did, but we're going to talk about the rest of the weekend because it was a lot.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the finales for Dancing with the Stars and Bachelor in Paradise. So that's the main thing on the docket today, but quite a few things.
Quite a bit,
So I am actually going to start us off because I know at the end of last episode I was realizing there was something else I wanted to talk about from the Thursday at the event.
Yeah.
And you got to see a little bit of it before you
Yeah, I saw a
left
little bit of it. Yeah. Yeah.
So the thing that I remembered was so I competed the standard in the morning, and then they had lunch, and then they were switching to do the social style. And which it's basically it's a salsa, bachata, hustle, kizomba, Argentine tango, and I think they had like a nightclub salsa. That they had some other.
Yeah, they had so many different things. Yeah.
Country two-step. Yeah, there was a ton of stuff, but the thing that was special about it, and that's why I was like, let me just wait until this week's episode to say. So Max and Val from Dancing with the Stars, you know, obviously they are the co-owners of the studio. They they were they've been talking, I think Max was posting more about it. They've been talking about their mom on Instagram and like just like being so proud of her, and you know, there's obviously been a lot going on for them with everything Ukraine and all that. But you know, they were just so proud of their mom for, like, I think they were saying about a weight loss journey and all this. But she actually was competing social on Saturday with our instructor Yuri, and it was the first time she's ever done ballroom competition.
It was amazing.
It was like, I've seen her at the events, but I hadn't seen her in a while, and I haven't really spoken to her that much. But you know, I saw her get ready, and Yuri's like, "Can you go film for me?" And then I looked at him and I was like, "Mom," and he was like, "Yes," and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And he said it was the first time she ever competed, and it was so great. You know, I think it's just and it was so cool because I was filming the videos, and then of course they got the like marketing team to actually film better videos. Because part of me is like, oh my gosh, Max and Val might repost this, but no, they took the ones from the actual marketing team, not from me. But it was really cool, and I only got to stay for a little bit. She was really enjoying herself out there, so that was really sweet.
Amazing.
So,
I love that.
Yeah. So anyway, that was really the rest of Thursday, because then I left to come home to get ready to finish watching the episodes for us to film the podcast. So I know they were going like till later in the night. They had like the Jack and Jill event, all that
team match stuff. Yeah.
But then you were back next on Friday. I didn't come back till Saturday. So tell us about Friday.
So there was quite a bit that happened on Friday. It was a lot of fun. So I took the train back from my hometown on Friday night, and I went to check in at the hotel on Friday night, like I had mentioned. Mm-hmm. And the old Hollywood party that we had talked about was on Friday night. So that was really fun. It was pretty much what our like typical parties have been like at the competitions, but it was a little more scaled back to where it wasn't like an actual like kind of like full course dinner. It was more just kind of like the buffet that they have usually during the competition day. That was what the food was, but the food was still really good, and we all hung out and danced. It was just kind of what I think there was like, it was pretty quiet for about an hour and a half, where we just kind of ate, and they were just letting people eat and just hang out.
Yeah.
And then I want to say
probably like when they've done those like Thursday night parties.
Yes, it's been like that.
When the competition's longer, they'll have a party Thursday night and Friday night and Saturday night. And so like the Friday, Saturday are more gala, and then the Thursday is like the casual. So I didn't know
that's what it was more. So that's what it was more like. And then around 9:30, like an hour and a half into the party, they just played like the social dance music like they usually do. So like you were talking about, they were playing like bachata, salsa, Argentine tango, hustle music, all that stuff, and just kind of on loop and with different songs. And we got to dance with different people, and that was a lot of fun. I got to dance with a few new people I'd never met, so that was really cool. I was showing my instructor Elena some of my like leading bachata and salsa steps she has never seen me do, because I remember talking about in July. I remember like kind of showing her, because I think it might have been in June that we were doing the Salsa Shines class. And I learned some things in that class, and I did some of the things when her and I were dancing salsa in the July class, and she was like so surprised about that. And I was like doing the same thing in this class, or in this at this party when I was leading her. And it was
Mhm.
really funny because like I would be doing something in bachata or in salsa and she wouldn't expect me to do it. And she's like, oh, okay. So that was like really funny. And like I said, I danced with a few of the other instructors there, and then I danced with like
Mhm.
some of our friends, and then there was some people that I had never met before asked me if I wanted to dance. That was fun to kind of dance with all different people. And yeah, that was pretty much it. We just hung out, ate, danced, and it was really fun. It didn't go as late as I had kind of thought it would, but I'm glad it didn't, because then we all went downstairs and that was a whole nother party in itself afterwards.
And we don't talk about those on this podcast.
We don't talk about those on the podcast, and I'm glad
Not the details.
Not the details, because it's like kind of it's what happens at the hotel stays at the hotel kind of scenario.
Say that, you read my mind.
No, I know, that's
What
exactly
happens at the hotel bar stays at the hotel bar. No,
Bar,
I mean,
exactly.
like there's a ton of people there. There's really
Yeah.
no secrets like when you're there, but we're not just gonna divulge them
We're
here.
not gonna just
You just
divulge.
you have to come and experience it.
You have to
for
come and
yourself.
experience it, or
Yeah,
ask
there you
us,
go.
and it's just us. Exactly. Especially, and it was cool because that at that time on Friday night, it wasn't as crowded, so it didn't get as crazy as like
Yeah.
usual. It was just kind of us talking. Like there were a few of the instructors from the Midtown studio down there that we were talking to, and then Eugene was down there, and
Yeah.
then Elena and I were talking, and then a few of our friends were down there. So it was only like 7 of us, so it wasn't that many people, so it wasn't as rambunctious as it has gotten in the past. So that was fun, but then I was like, so I want to get up and watch Smooth early on Saturday, and I went to sleep at 11:30, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go up now. It's not pretty much what happened Friday, but so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh gosh. And then Saturday, so Friday I worked from home, and then I had to go coach at the skating rink at night, and then I packed up all my stuff. So then Saturday morning I went, my friend Rebecca that was with us over the weekend. So she, and I think I've talked about her on the podcast before too, a few times. So her and I had coincidentally, it's weird. So we met each other like many years ago, and through like my youth group, and I just, because she knew somebody that knew somebody, so she came 1 or 2 times to the youth group, and we had each other on Facebook. And then it was like 10 years later, maybe not, okay, not a full 10 years, but like maybe 5, 6, 7 years or something like that later, when I started dance in 2016, I was on Facebook, and it was like a week or 2 after I started, her mom had tagged her in a photo and was like, oh, just Rebecca just started her dance lesson to Dance With Me Glenrock, and I see the picture of the instructor, and it was the guy Eric that was teaching in Glenrock then. And I was like, I messaged her, I was like, wait a second, I go here, I just started. And we started like within 2 weeks of each other.
Wow.
Coincidentally. And then so we actually became closer friends through this.
Yeah.
And so she hasn't competed in quite a few years or done showcases or anything, but she lives in town with me, and so I'm like, you're coming with me for the weekend to come, like, and get out of the house and all that. So I picked her up Saturday. I stopped at the coffee like cafe that I go to that's also like a yoga meditation place, and gift shop. So they do all these things. So anyway, so I picked up some drinks for us. We drove down to Jersey City. We came to watch the Smooth. You and I had done the live stream while Smooth was going on, and it's always so crazy because we never know who's going to pop in. And Leanne popped in, and now I'm regretting not looking this up sooner. But she is an instructor at one of the studios. She does have a more official title within Dance With Me. I think I'm gonna look this up in the meantime. Maybe you can. So I'll get back to it in a minute. But I think it's just we can't even keep track of whose title is what in the studio.
I think she's an East Coast director, if that's what you're trying to look up. I think it's her and Ilya that are East Coast directors. At least that's my thought. That's what I thought. But I
always just feel bad because we just know everybody by first name, and we know that they have other roles. I'm like, I know. The other studios, but so it was great. We love when people from Dance With Me, they just hop on. They see us with the camera, and they're just like sitting down, and they start talking.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
So I love it. So we did the live, and then we didn't get the catered lunch that the competitors, like, you can do an a la carte for the catered lunch, but the three of us, myself and Rebecca, the three of us went downstairs to get the lunch in the restaurant, and that was nice. So like we had a nice view of the city. It looked great. We did that, and then we went back up to watch the rest of Smooth, and it was great because I know at least Elena, who had hosted us graciously to watch Dancing with the Stars, the finale at her house the other day, and wants to be a guest on the podcast. She did
secret manager. I know.
Oh yeah, she's saying she's secretly our
She's
manager.
saying,
She
yeah.
did give us the official name of the podcast as an idea,
Yeah.
so we have to
did.
credit her with that.
Yes.
It was her first time that she was competing
Right.
smooth, so I
She
wanted
did
to
awesome.
make sure that we watched her, and everyone from the studio did well.
Yeah, everybody did fantastic. A lot of our friends did smooth, and that was awesome to see. Everybody did so good.
I don't think I'm gonna find Leanne's title on the website, but yes, I think she is the East Coast Regional Director. Okay. Leanne, if you're watching, I'm sorry. We're gonna get cards and we're gonna know this. So yeah. Anyway.
So yeah, everybody did
really
really
for an org chart. I need an org chart.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Yeah,
that was
Smooth was fun.
I don't know. Smooth was and Smooth was fun. It was nice to watch because I really haven't gotten to watch. I think the last few competitions they've had Smooth that's always been on a day that's like a weekday. Like it's typically on the Friday. Whereas this time Rhythm was the Friday. So I hadn't gotten to watch like Laura or Mary or anybody compete Smooth, Cynthia or anybody compete Smooth in a while.
So that was nice to see all our friends do Smooth. It was awesome.
And then
we had to quickly rush, and get ready for that.
Well, fortunately, we didn't have to quickly rush. They had to quickly rush.
They had to quickly rush.
The formation dance, they did it from like 5 to 6 on Saturday, and that was when the 6 local studios went against each other for the group dance we've been talking about. Mm-hmm. And they did like a poll that a representative from the studio, so we drew that we were going to go second? Third. No.
It was second because it was Long Island, us, and then I think I know we went second because I remember we were talking we don't want to go first, and then they were saying Long Island was going to go first.
Yeah, because I was joking. I said to David, first is the worst, second is the best.
Yes.
Anyway, not that Long Island was the worst because they won.
They won, yeah. So
Long Island won, so they were not the worst. But I was just saying that's how I remembered we were second because I said first, second, best. Anyway, no, but all the studios did a great job.
They did.
So the Dance With Me studios that we competed against was Long Island, Stamford, Connecticut, Glen Rock, Fort Lee, Soho, and Midtown. And we did place 4th in the formation dance. It was Long Island, then it was Fort Lee, and then it was Midtown,
Soho,
and us,
then
Soho,
and
Soho, Stamford.
Stamford, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna say because I don't want to be salty. I was so proud of us that I was just biased. I guess I was biased that I thought we deserved to be higher, but that's just a thing. And we don't.
I did too, but then like it was just kind of what Elena said is that obviously it would have been nice to win, but we knew how hard we had worked on the routine. That it was like we knew we were winners to ourselves. It was like it would have been nice to be kind of recognized in that way, but it's like we're not going to be mad about it because we know how hard we worked and we were happy for ourselves. So
yeah, we were just, I mean, it just sounds like we're just rationalizing it now, but no, I mean, I agree. I think the biggest thing that it's just hard because like when you really look at the scope of the dances and it was really nice because some of the other instructors from like the Texas and the studios that were there, but they didn't really participate in that. They were like, you guys did so well. Like they did compliment, they said some things to me and I know to some of us that they said that we did a really great job. And I think, I even talked to some of the other instructors too, and I think it's just every studio kind of has a different approach because they have a different student base. And I think that, there's a different ratio of instructors to students, and like some instructors have been around longer, so they know what works. And then, they pull out, they're pulling out the stoppers. The people are pulling their clothes off. So because Long Island, they pulled their pants off and they had shorts on underneath the guys. And I was like, that's it. We need to take our pants off next time. That's what it is. That's the winning ticket.
We almost did. Like, I mean, with our shirts. But...
No, but I know, but that's what we were joking.
That's what you're joking. Yeah.
I was just, oh my gosh. So, so we can finally say it. And I think, I know we have so many people's videos in it. Maybe we can post like a clip of something or at least just I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what we'll do. Yeah. We have to talk to people to see if it's okay for us.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, but what we did do was and we can give a little more background. So what had happened was Yuri back in the summer was doing like a performance Latin class.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to do a dance to Fever. And he wanted to just do it like as a showcase with everybody at whatever competition we had. And then, so we started working on that choreography. And then we found out about the formation dance, and they're like, well, let's just take this and
Do it
mold
there,
it. And so we knew it was an old Hollywood theme. So what Elena and Yuri came up with was do they wanted to make like the whole theme of like love and different kinds of love and all this stuff. So they took the Nat King Cole version, like LOVE, love, and we did that at the beginning, and we did the fox. It was more like a foxtrot style dance. We had oh gosh, I wish I had it accessible. We had these like the women at least had like bathing suit cover-ups. We had them all in like pastel colors, and we had our other outfit underneath for Fever. And the guys, you just loosened your buttons on your.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I don't even think you guys messed with the ties at that point. But
We did it.
so we like did like all like LOVE, whatever, and then we
stuff,
switched
yeah.
to Fever and like pulled off our
Yeah.
stuff, and then we came together and then did the ending. And I have to say though, like the thing that I've appreciated about the 2 formation dances I've been with in 3, and even the first one that I did, but that was just in 2017, so long ago. But the 2 formations I've been part of with Glen Rock, like 2019 and this one, what I've loved that they do is we really integrate the students and the teachers.
Yeah.
There is it, yeah, of course there's going to be certain things that the teachers can do more than the students, but we really integrate ourselves into the dance. And you know, obviously the judges can probably tell who's a pro and who's a student for you know, certain people and whatnot, but like we are a team and we are a unit, and everybody does the same thing, and we present that. And I can't say all the other studios do it that way.
Yeah.
And there were 15 of us, so it was 11 students and 4 instructors, and I think we had a good showing. I mean, Soho had like over double that number of people.
They did. I was
It
surprised.
was crazy.
Because I took a video of a little bit of their formation dance.
Yeah.
Like when I all came on to do like the hustle part, I was like, man, that's a lot of people. I didn't realize it was like there was so many people. But I really liked how our dance went. I really thought we went on it, and we, like you said, we came together as a team. And I watched the dance back recently, and I was like, I think we did very, very well.
Yeah, everyone did well. Like, I don't think there were any mistakes. Like, I'm sure if people made mistakes, I didn't notice it. I think the biggest
I didn't either, yeah.
Which I'll say right now on the podcast. The biggest issue we had was, some of the women, we got black fishnet tights that had crystals on them. The crystals, when we put our legs together, the crystals got caught on the tights on the other side.
Oh, no.
We couldn't so I was like, at the end of the dance, we're all like, oh my gosh, it happened to you too. So hopefully you can't see it in the video, but like that was just a little frustrating. It happens, you know, wardrobe malfunction. Exactly. I don't think it was that obvious, but it was so annoying.
I didn't notice it. So
I don't think any of you guys were looking down there, but I was just like, oh man.
Even watching the video back, I didn't notice it. So I think it's okay.
Fortunately, the video, at least that Rebecca sent me, the angle she got, you wouldn't be able to tell because it was on the side. It wasn't straight on. But whatever. You know what? It happens, and you roll with it, and you act like nothing's happening. Right. I know it's happening, and I'm like, oh, this is really awkward. But like that's
going. Yeah.
It's just entertaining at the end of the day. And we have a story.
Exactly.
But no, all the studios really did well. Like I felt like everything was entertaining, and Fort Lee did have, I think, the smallest group number.
Yeah. And
I know that they really worked hard to get it together kind of at the last second. And I'm actually one of the women on the Fort Lee team. I coach with her at the skating rink. I had inspired her to come to the studio like over 6 months ago, and she's been going nonstop. So her and I were always joking. We're like, oh, who's gonna win? And they ended up beating us. So but it was really good. They did like the disco theme and
and Yuri with his like disco shirt, glasses, and afro. So
it was great. I mean, and Fort Lee's like our sister studio because New Jersey, so we're like we cheer for Fort Lee, like all the other studios.
Yes, we do cheer for them. Yeah.
Competitors in Midtown. Unfortunately, their music went out in the end of it.
Oh, and
let me tell you, kudos to them for continuing to keep going.
They did. I know, that was amazing.
You know, that's what you gotta do.
We were talking about, I was like, is that on purpose? And I was like, no, it can't. It can't be. So that was really good.
And fortunately, we danced second because they also had Fever as part of their.
Oh yeah,
the formation routine. But it was like the foxtrot style.
Yeah, and we had the more sexy, sensual style.
Yeah,
that was
we had that one.
Beyonce.
And I think what was the last thing I was gonna say? So that's why I kept saying you're gonna love it, because
Yeah,
love.
there's like a little hint in there. Yeah.
So if you didn't get the joke, that was a
Now
joke.
you do. Yeah. So yeah, it went very well. I liked how
Yeah.
we did. I'm very happy with how we did. I'm very proud of everybody, and it was fun to watch everybody else's. Like you said, it was awesome.
Yeah. It's like that's the most like team spirit thing that we do. And then it's like you get so competitive and then it's done and then you're like, oh. But yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. I thought it was really good. So great job, everybody.
Especially, yeah, great job, everybody. And I'm very happy, especially
Next time.
Next time, I know, especially since it was my
Pants are
first.
coming off.
No, I know, exactly. And I'm happy with like how like confident I was in myself with it, because especially just because it was my first team dance. So I was surprised of how I think I was nervous before we went on, and then like the second that music hit, I was like, okay, we're doing this, and I was just all in the character at that point. So I'm very happy with how it went.
I think that, and that's actually a good segue. So I'm sure that helped you going into like later on.
Yeah.
So that wrapped up around 6-ish, and then at 7:30 they were going to start the
showcase gala.
The showcase gala. So at that point, you know, you were already checked in the hotel. Rebecca and I checked in the room. We got changed and ready for the you know, for the showcase gala. So we were like the first people on the line there.
I know.
And so I don't know the whole logistics of like, they always tell you you're going to perform at a certain time, but we got in there. I don't think the performances started till like 9 o'clock.
They didn't. No, like 9:30, I think.
9:30. So like we got there, we got inside, we ate, we got, it's like the 4-course meal, like salad and the soup, and then the entree, and then dessert. And you know, you weren't the only person that was doing their first showcase that night. So we had some of our other students from Glen Rock that were doing their first showcase, and I'm sitting there with you guys, and I'm like, I was like, I need to be able to eat because I'm getting nervous because they're nervous. I know the two of you were there, and Rebecca and I are like, okay, but you know, I think we're just like, I know the two of you guys were like, we need to eat, and then you're like, I'm not gonna eat. No, I'm gonna eat. I'm not gonna. And I've been there. It's so frustrating. Even it wasn't my first showcase. I know. It's very frustrating because you're just like, you don't want to dance on a full stomach, but you're also like nervous, and you can't eat, and then but you got to eat something because then you're gonna get hungry, and I don't know. So I was just like, oh my gosh, you guys, like that whole point of time was so just dragged on and on and on, and but everyone's showcases were great. You guys
were fantastic. Yeah.
And everyone from Glen Rock. We had I know Elena had 5 showcases, and then
David had 1.
And David had 1. And then
then Milos and Yuri were in Mora's, so
yeah, or David, which one? Not David. Milos and Yuri, not David. I'm mixing up. I'm trying to think of who else was. Yeah, David only had the 1, and then
I think that was
Did anyone? Yeah, because I'm thinking, I'm like, Milos and Yuri didn't have any from Glen Rock that weren't with Elena.
No, yeah.
No, they had them with like Fort Lee and
other people,
with other people. Yeah, so the showcase gala was always great, and we did have a couple that was performing, you know, a pro Latin couple performing, and they did great. So that was also cool. And you're okay. Let me tell you, can I just please, your showcase, like I mean, I could talk about everybody else's, like everyone else from the studio, like if you're, you know, all of you guys were amazing, and I honestly don't think I even expressed in words like how great the rest of your showcases were. But I have to tell you, Matthew, I tried not watching you rehearse it with Elena for so long. I'm like, I don't want to see. I saw a little bit, and I was like, oh, Evanescence. So I was like, oh, I like Evanescence, and I like saw the costume, and I was like, no. And then I know when you were getting ready, and Elena was like, they're all painting the makeup on your face and whatever, and I was like, no, let me tell you, you really delivered that. That was very well done. Like, great job. It was, I think everybody really like was, wow. They were shocked. Like, not shocked. They were amazed by how great it was. And I think it was just like, it really left an impact on people. So I think that was why I was like, so great job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I know, I don't know if you want to get into it now. You don't have to, of course, but I know that you had obviously some stories behind it, but maybe we can get into that in the future episode.
I could talk about it now. I was about to ask
Yeah.
you what your opinion was on it, like in
Yeah.
terms of like, should I? Because I'm fine with talking about it now. Because I'm gonna probably make a post about it in like 3 days, so this will probably be posted before that or after.
Yeah.
So I know the story.
Yeah,
But
you can talk about it if you want.
okay, yeah, it's
I
up to
feel like
you.
I told you. Yeah.
But thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate it. It really means a lot. Yeah, and it was funny because I think Elena specifically knew I was nervous about it because on the
Mhm.
side of the stage, she saw I was nervous. I think she could just tell on my face. And she just kept squeezing my hand. And she was like, "You're gonna be okay. You're gonna kill this. You're gonna do amazing." So, Elena, if you're watching this, that really helped me a lot, and I really, really appreciate you for that. So, thank you. But, so yeah, and I'm sure, and it was cool because I talked about this last week as well. As that, like Elena was talking about this, is that how like with the showcases, people will have like different interpretations of what you're trying to tell.
Mhm.
So obviously, you have what you are wanting to tell, like you know what you're wanting to tell in it, but everybody might have their different
Yeah.
kind of interpretation, which is pretty cool to see what everybody else kind of what they think about it. And it was interesting because a lot of the showcases, as you know, are very like upbeat and very like, I don't know how to say it. The way I kind of described it or explained it was is like the way more kind of like sensual or just kind of like out there like doing
Yeah.
crazy moves that are like really really cool, like to upbeat
Yeah.
music stuff. And obviously, like you said, those are fantastic and so amazing, but mine was more of a serious, obviously the song was very upbeat and energetic still because
Mhm. Mhm.
it was Evanescence going under, but but like it wasn't like this like kind of like showy all out kind of trying to impress the crowd with like cool dance moves to like a cool song
Mhm.
kind of performance. It was me trying to tell a story, like a serious story through my performance. And I don't have, like I said, I don't have to get into all the details now, but it was pretty much just basically about how like pretty much since like, and it's actually interesting because this is me getting a little bit personal now, but it's cool because this is what the dance is
Yeah.
about. So pretty much since about 6th grade, I want to say, or like beginning of middle school. I had mentioned before that I'm from Florida originally, and I didn't move up to New Jersey until 2018. And so most of my time in Florida, and especially in high school, I was homeschooled because a lot of my like in-person schooling was not great in terms of like my social just kind of interactions with people. I just was made fun of a lot and just didn't have a lot of like secure friendships. Most of them were very one-sided, and I didn't feel very like valued within like my friend
Mhm.
groups or communities or whatever. I just felt very kind of isolated in that, like as you probably know, in terms of a lot of like when you're growing up as like a teenager and young 20-year-old in young 20s, it's very difficult like to
Mhm.
kind of go through those things. And it continued when I was up here, as like when I first moved up here, I was also homeschooled, and like I said, I became homeschooled for that reason. And obviously the academics got better for me because with my social stuff and in-person schooling, it made my academics not great, but or made it hard for me to concentrate on that as well. But then when I got homeschooled, that got better, but obviously the social part still kind of stayed the same because I didn't really have any social outlets to meet people, and I didn't really do much in Florida until I moved up here. Or I didn't start to do many like outside
Yeah.
extracurricular things until I moved up here, and I thought that was going to change in college. And I had met a few people in college, like at the first, like a few like months before, that I thought I was going to have some kind of connection with. And then I kind of set my priorities of what I wanted to do in college, because I had
Mhm.
realized that there were things like I had made changes at the beginning of college. I don't have to get into the specific details, but I
Yeah.
made
Yeah.
some changes that were like for the betterment of my mental health. And because of those things, a lot of people kind of just left me, that like in terms of like a lot of people that I thought would be kind of there
Mhm.
for me left when I made these decisions that were going to be better for myself.
Yeah.
And that really like impacted me a lot. I think it's just in the reason that like I didn't expect it, and I thought those were gonna be people that I were gonna be somewhat decent friends with. So I've kind of told people that like 2 or 3 months of last year, from like I think early August to like or mid August to like early November, was probably some of like I think it was the toughest months of my life mentally that I've had, in terms of
Mhm.
just feeling all these different emotions. And kind of the long story short of the whole thing is that the way I was treated by people in terms of like I don't even want to call them friends because they like the way I was treated was never really kind of like how friends should
Yeah.
treat each other. But it was like the people I had in my life, the way that they treated me and the way that they thought about me, I would perceive their opinions as what I like. I would perceive their opinions as being true. So if they would be like, oh, you don't have like, oh, you're not worthy enough for this, or you don't, or you're not enough for this, and all that kind of stuff. When they treated me that
Yeah.
way, I believed it in myself. And I just said it to myself so constantly that it got to a point where it just kind of became a part of how I talked to myself. And it was so just so traumatizing for me to go through that. And so but it really, it does have an amazingly happy ending to where like when I joined I joined dance in September, like I had told
Mhm.
people know, at the end of September of last year. And at the beginning of this year, a lot of us started to become really close, and we started to actually form this friend group. And I have a lot of great friends that are like really
Mhm.
true, loyal, just amazing friends at dance. And I also
Yeah.
joined the young adult group at my church, where I also found that same kind of like just group of loyal,
Mhm.
great, just healthy friendships. And when I saw that, I mean, when I got those things, it really kind of brought this hope into my life that was like, hey, these things are possible, because didn't think that they were. And I really kind of made that decision, I want to say like December of last year. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to live like this anymore.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not going to talk this way about myself anymore. I know that I'm worthy, and I know that I'm worthy of love and deserving of happiness and all that stuff when I didn't think before, because just how
Yeah.
people, the way people treated me. And so basically that was what the dance was about, is that Elena played not even just the negative people in my life. So she played the negative people in my life in the past, but then also all the negative emotions that were
Mhm.
in my life.
Yeah.
And so it was all these kind of negative things trying to creep up on me and like latch onto me and wouldn't let go. And then throughout the dances you saw, I got stronger and stronger. And then there was a part of the dance where like you see that she kind of like goes away when
Yeah.
she's like, it's kind of like the last part of the dance. And that's just kind of signifying that, like, because I put a lot of work into myself, where I just really worked on
Mhm.
myself, just like kind of mentally, and just put myself first. And I really made a decision I was going to put my mental health first, rather than the opinions of other people that I used to do. And so that was pretty much what the dance was about. And
Yeah.
obviously it was very, like I said, a very serious subject, just because of how hard everything was. But since it has a happy ending, it was so rewarding and so fulfilling to
Yeah.
perform that. And Elena, like I had talked about, her choreography for the routine and her storytelling was
Mhm.
absolutely fantastic. And I cannot thank her enough for coming up with that and for being there with me. I'm just so grateful that her and I got to experience that moment together, because she knew how much that dance meant to me.
Yeah.
And it was everything I could have asked for and more. And I'm just so thankful for
Yeah.
her and everybody else's support. So yeah, that's pretty much what it was about. But and I'm glad, like I said, it was cool that I had like a really happy ending, that
Yeah.
like I defeated all the demons I had and
Yeah.
stuff like that and stuff. So it was
And
obviously,
Elena. No.
yeah, I know exactly. It's like get a little bit serious on Ballrooms and Bachelors right now, but yeah, but it's so that basically that's what the dance was about, and it was just so, like I had said, we wanting to perform that, so that was so much fun.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I know
No,
you
of
hadn't,
course. So
you
thank you.
and I hadn't even really spoken about it. I know from some conversations we'd had, I figured it was something along those lines, but
Yeah.
not that I wanted to pressure you into explaining it on the podcast. But I was like, well, now's your time. Now that I've seen it, no, yeah, I mean, listen, I'm older than you by quite a few years, but like
Yeah.
I have gone through that multiple times.
Yeah.
Um, if I'm being honest, even recently,
Yeah.
over the past few years. I mean, it was kind of weird. Like the showcase that I did with Elena back in April was like kind of not exactly the same. It was more of I did it to Autobiography by Ashley Simpson, and I think it was more about like just that I just felt that some things that occurred over the past year, like it required me being more honest with myself about who I am
Yeah.
um and certain opinions I have, but it's like knowing that people don't agree with me, but because of their perception of, well, if you think that way, you must be like this. It's just hard because like and I still haven't even really been as open with it with many people, just because I feel like if people, um, I think just people can kind of have a perception of like if you believe this, then you are this way.
Yes.
And it was just hard because feel like people always just perceive me as like I always follow the rules and I always do things like, and I do, like I do,
Yeah.
but follow the rules. But I think the thing is that I very much believe like standing up for yourself, and I will, if there's something that I just feel is unjust, I will fight for
Yeah.
it. And I just think that people just kind of always perceive me as just like being like goody two shoes and like doing that. And to many, I am a perfectionist in many ways, but like I think that was kind of it. It's just like, you know, it's like You Think You Know Me, that was a song, and it was a different type of thing. So like Elena kind of played like the more like reserved person, and then I was the more like wild person. And I think it was just talking about like learning how to balance the two of them. So it was similar, but it wasn't the same exact message. And that was like I had like crazy hair and all this. But no, I think it's great. You know, I think that's what I've enjoyed doing about the showcases, because it's just like, and that's why I know some of the things I've gone through, like since that was kind of just the tip of the iceberg of like, this is kind of the overall thing I want to show. And it was like that song was appropriate, and I think there's other songs that I think would be best to convey other parts of my journey. But I was really happy to see you do that. And I think it was, I know you said you wanted to do it in Texas, and like I said, I am selfishly glad you had to do it here, because I think, you know, and I think you were happy too, because like we had a lot of people from Glen Rock that got to see that. And I think you know, I'm sure you've gotten plenty of compliments on it from, I would hope so.
I did.
People.
It was so nice. So yeah, that dance definitely meant a lot to me just to do, especially since like it was such like a kind of full circle moment, like especially that I didn't realize that kind of like, I don't know if you want to call it healing or just kind of like realization that things can get better. Like just like it was such a powerful thing for me to recognize. And I think just doing it in dance form as well was just such an amazing kind of like I talked about before, this really rewarding thing for me to showcase in front of people. So that was really cool. And like I said, it was cool that the dance was a little bit of a different kind of theme than it usually is, than the usual showcases are. So that was really fun. I think Elena and I talked about it, and probably our next showcase is gonna be a little bit more upbeat and fun in terms of like not trying to tell a story, but this one was really fun to do. And it was just so nice because afterwards Elena had told me that I did such a great job, and that just meant so much to me. So I'm very happy that, again, like I had said, that we got to share that moment together. That was really nice. And it was cool because, as you saw in the choreography, we got to do like a lot of different styles of dance song or in the dance, which is pretty cool because we had like, I did like some waltz, I did some tango, which were it's really funny, and it made sense because I got my notes back, and those were the notes that I got back on to saying what I need to improve on, which was fine because we knew that, because like that's, I don't do those styles yet, at least in my practice, so it made sense. But they all liked the dances like a lot, which was really happy. I'm really happy to hear that, and they all really enjoyed. And it was like some hip hop in there and stuff like that, and just like some style things. So that was really fun. And I'm really, and just thank you so much for all your comments and your kind words about it. It was really sweet, and it was just so nice, and to do that, and everybody's comments and support is just, it means so much to me. So I'm really appreciative. So thank you very much. It was so much fun.
You're welcome. It's cathartic. I think that's the word. It's like
cathartic,
and you know, I think the good thing about dance to me, and like, I mean, there's so many people there, and I think it always is like, how do you define the term friend? You know, obviously a lot of the people with the studio, I can't say like we're all like you know, friends in the sense of like I hang out with them all the time, I talk all the time, but like there's a sense of a community and support between everybody, between the studios. I mean, I've gotten to meet people from the Texas studios, like obviously Justin, you know, and we've become closer friends. You know, him I consider a friend, you know. But I think it's just like, but just even people that I'm not as close with, that I know I see them at the competitions, I talk to them, they know my name, I know their name, we greet each other, and like, you know, when I've done a showcase or when I've done something, like you go up to each other and say something and give compliments and whatever. There's a supportive community there, and that's where I think it's a safe space to be able to show that. And I think that's you know, I think it's important because it's, you know, I think that's just always important to have, you know, even if you're not friends with every single person individually in the room, there's a supportive community there. And it's you know, that's what I do love about the way that the studio is. And especially I feel like Glen Rock specifically has a very good sense of like family and community that
And
that
I
we
don't
had,
think,
you know.
no, I totally agree. And I don't even think it's just among the students. I think it's amongst the instructors too, which is
Yes,
really
yes.
cool. Because like obviously, as you know, we talk about all of our instructors a lot because
Yeah.
they really have become our friends as well. And we've become closer with
Yeah.
them. And that's a cool thing I like about our studio, especially with Glen Rock. And I'm assuming it's probably with a lot of the other Dance With Me studios, but it's like we've talked about, it's not even just kind of like a student instructor kind of friendship or just interaction. It's kind of like you really do become friends with your instructors because you get to see them all the time, they get to know you, which I think is a really cool thing because like you feel like maybe sometimes if you're like a dance studio, it's just like the instructors are kind of the higher ups and they're like, oh okay, we're not gonna really mingle with the students or whatever. They're kind of just like, oh, there's like a power barrier or like level that like maybe some other dance studios would have. But it's really cool that we get to like actually become friends with our instructors and do things with them and stuff like that. I think it's just like so cool because it feels, again, that sense of community that we have there, and it doesn't feel like it's completely closed off with everybody. I really like that as well. I completely agree with that.
Okay, so we could keep talking about showcases forever, honestly.
Yeah, forever.
But all right. So then the final thing that you did was on Sunday you did Latin for the first like big competition, and it was great. And you did awesome. And one of your friends came and I was talking to her for a bit. I didn't get to talk to her as much as I would have liked, but let me okay, we're gonna talk about your dancing in a second, but I have one pick with you. I'm talking to her and I'm like, yeah, I'm the friend he does the podcast with. And she's like, what podcast? I was like, so I pulled out, so we made a fancy like thing with the QR code. We posted it the one day. I don't know if you saw it on the story. You didn't. You will be seeing more of it. I was like, she's like, you need to tell me the information. He doesn't tell us anything. So I showed her. So we now have an additional subscriber.
We do.
Because so I don't know if she's listening now. But yeah, so and she better tell all the rest of your friends. Yeah, okay. So I just had that one bone to pick with you. Because I'm like, why is he not telling anything?
I totally feel my friends at my younger adult group.
No,
I guess I forgot to mention because like my friend Alex, who was gonna come, he knows, but I guess
I'm sure there's not everybody in that group that not everybody watches.
I would say it's very, very
so I can understand. I just was like, oh, it's fine. I was like, well, he said none of his friends watch The Bachelor, so I don't know what to think. I don't know. But I mean, I feel like that's why we talk about dance stuff too. So
yeah.
Who was I telling? I was talking to somebody the other day and I was like, yeah, we added timestamps. So it's like a choose your own adventure podcast.
Right. Exactly. You can watch whatever you want.
I don't know. It's a new genre of podcast. Like,
yes.
No, it's whatever. It's fine. Anyway, but no, how did you feel with Latin?
I felt very, very good of how I did. I was not like, I didn't even like, I don't think it could have gone any better in terms of like how I thought. I think it was just because Elena and I prepared so much for this and for so long for this. Like I talked about, because we've talked about that we did the music video just for fun that Yuri filmed.
Yeah.
And that was back, we filmed that back in like last week of April. And we took like a month and a half break from like end of March to when we did Team Match to like beginning of May when we did that. To do the music video choreography and the routines and practice music video stuff. But then at the beginning of May, we started doing our Latin stuff again. And that's when we started coming up with our new Latin routines. And it's actually pretty cool because I don't know if you noticed if you've noticed the part in our cha-cha, but there's a part in our cha-cha that at the end where we kind of just do like this cool hip thing. And when we do that, that's actually, I came up with that idea to do that. And Elena was okay with putting that in there. So I'm really happy about that she kind of took the suggestion I had. So that was fun. But yeah, it was really cool to perform on new Latin routines in front of people. Cause like you had talked about, and we've talked about, the first time I ever did Latin and the only time I've done Latin since this time, or besides this time, was a mini match where there was not as many people there, and it was pretty much a virtual competition. So this was nice to actually perform in front of a full room of people with the full amount of competitors on the floor and stuff like that. So that was so much fun, and it was just amazing. And your guys' support meant so much to me. I can't even put it into words. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was great. I was happy to be there. That's why I was like, selfishly, I'm happy you did this.
Yeah.
But no, it was great. It was great.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So we were gunning for top studio. We did get second. And
We
we
did.
are very proud of our second place because
Right.
Soho won. I think it was Soho that won.
Yeah, they
and
did.
Fort Lee was
They
third.
announced like one of the Texas studios won too, but I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, they were joking. They're like,
It was
Austin,
joking.
they're
Let's
not here.
say.
They were joking.
Okay.
Well, second was us, and then third was Fort Lee.
Yes, because I said also
Yeah.
from New Jersey, so yeah.
Yes,
Anyway.
yeah. So we got our 2 New Jersey studios up there, and I think because Soho, like we were saying, it's just such a big studio compared to us. I think that they started calculating it like percentage wise, so that way it's like because we are a smaller studio that they give us like a little bit of a thing of like percentage of your typical student base, how many
right,
whatever. But we were second, and we were second back in 2019, so that was a good, we didn't like. I think we did a little bit higher in the team dance the last time in 2019, but we got second studio.
And we improved.
Top
We
studio.
improved the top studio this time.
Yeah. So I was like, no, we're at second top studio. So
that's good. Very good.
Didn't get number 1 yet,
but
next
it will
happen.
Next competition.
Well, maybe not next competition, but it will happen eventually.
Happen eventually.
We will have a moment. Yeah. We will have that moment.
Yeah.
This was like, I mean, this was great. And I think it was so great that, I mean, I'm just thinking how it was like 1, 2, 3, 4. Like there were at least like 4 people that it was their first big competition they participated in. Probably more that I'm forgetting, So I think it's great that we just it's great to see some of the folks that have joined more recently doing more of it, because like Maura and Cynthia and I were there like the last time when we got second place, and like even I think Jerry was in that routine too. So it's like, like there were some of the people that we've been there a while, but it was like cool to have you guys there too. Cause
it was amazing. That was so much fun.
And like, and Yuri too, because Elena and David were there the last time also. So
that was amazing.
So yeah, I think the competition was great. It was a really, and the weather was nice, and it was a great fun we have plenty of content from that.
We do. We're gonna post a lot. So it was pretty interesting. I think this happens throughout, and I noticed this when I did mini match as well, is that like there were times that like, and that's why you do multiple rounds, or they at least kind of recommend that you do multiple rounds.
Yeah.
Because my first round, like I was still kind of tired, and like not that I forgot a few steps, but like there were some times where I was like, oh, I could have done a little bit better. I think it's pretty much
up a little later on Saturday.
No, I know we did, and we're not
gonna go hang out too long.
No, I know we did, and it was a whole crazy night.
So still stayed an hour past us.
I know. So, but so
that
oh no, I know.
Go ahead.
But that was a good thing that I was able to do. Like that's the cool thing, that you can do multiple rounds, so you can actually improve on your rounds every single round. It was funny because there were times that Elena was like telling me like specific things in the dance where like there was this one part of our jive where like and even when we've been rehearsing it and practicing it, like there's this one part where we do like this kind of do this hip bump with our arms up in the air.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes we're like, and I forgot what it's called. I don't think they've mentioned it to me. We just kind of we just say it's the hip bump and the
I'm looking it up. I know it.
Yeah.
Don't worry, keep talking.
Okay. But there's times where like I said, even when we've been rehearsing it, but like the first time, because we do it twice, and the first time I do it, I don't put my arms up all the way because I'm also focusing on the triple step, and then she'll usually sometimes like give me kind of like she'll give me a cue with like her eyes go like that, so when she wants me to go like further up with my arms, which is like, so that helps a lot, especially in like, because that happens in a lot of my other dances too, where she'll tell me to like lead smaller, like in like a turn or something like that, and that definitely is something we're going to continue working on like in the foreseeable future. But I felt like, and then like I've been watching the videos back, and I think I've improved in a lot of areas, and that's what we talked about in our lesson this week as well, as that we wrote down these kind of notes that we wanted to work on from February to the next competition that we did Latin. And all those things that we had kind of pinpointed, I have improved drastically on, I think, in my opinion, and she said the same thing as well. So I think that's awesome to see. And then we were talking about how there were other things that I can still improve on, and I think that's a cool thing. You can still keep growing and learning, and that's always something mentality I have, is that there's never kind of like like a set bar I can be at. I can always get better and always keep learning with dance. So
Yeah.
that's something I think that was an amazing thing.
You're actually giving me ideas for myself that I'm going to. I know. Keep talking.
And I know I'm probably getting into this more during when we talk about our lessons this week, but it was interesting because like we were talking about last week that the rounds are somewhat shorter than the practice like rounds we do on like in the studio, because a lot of times the practice rounds on YouTube are like a minute 15, a minute 20, and our rounds of the competition are like a minute 5 at the most, maybe a minute 10 if we're lucky. And so I would say we got through our cha-cha and our samba routines pretty much the whole pretty much the whole competition. We got through the whole routines for our cha-cha and our samba. Jive most of the time. And then rumba, we did not get to the end of the routine almost 90% of the day. And I had noticed this. I remember you were talking to me about this, and you were like, a lot of times you don't get to them and you just kind of want to be ready for it. But at the end of our routine for our rumba, especially, there's this cool thing that we do that I really wanted to do. But I noticed that like 2 times, or the first 2 or 3 heats we did rumba, that we weren't even getting close to that part of the dance.
Yeah.
And I asked Elena, and I was like, do you think we can cut out something and just kind of on the fly? And we practiced it like when we had that like 10, 15-minute break.
Yeah.
And then we did our next rumba and tried it. And it was actually kind of funny because we were kind of laughing about this. The first time we were planning on doing it, she forgot that we changed it. And so I had, and then we had talked about it, and then we just like went through the regular one anyway. And so she was like, okay, next time. And then when we went through the first or when we went through the first time actually with the change routine, we just took out one step that kind of repeated itself, and we got to it. So that was nice that we actually got to do it times with the actual movie we were talking about. But it's just kind of cool that on the fly you can come up with different things and stuff like that. But yeah, that was pretty much Latin Day for me, and it was just so much fun. And I was not expecting to get first place in my scholarship. That was something I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting to get any awards, so that was something I'm very grateful for. And side note, I didn't notice this until like kind of later in the morning, but who was it? It was Ferdy, Andra, and Nino. They were all there judging me, and I wasn't expecting it. And I was telling Elena, like when they were on the phone, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're judging us. It was so funny.
All of those people, I know.
I know all those people we know, and it's just so crazy. And then Elena told me, like after we did our samba, she was like, "Oh my gosh, Ferdy and Andra smiled at us when we were like going by with our samba." So that was really cool. They like thought we were doing good and stuff. So that was kind of a fun moment that people that we know and kind of like our higher level Latin dancers got to judge us. That was just so cool. So that was really fun. So yeah, Latin Day. I know I've been talking a lot, but Latin Day.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's a lot. There's probably long since we've talked about dance before we even get to dance.
I know.
Bachelor in Paradise. Oh goodness. Okay. Shall we? All right. So maybe we'll transition. So
yeah, let's do it.
After the competition, I know typically it's good to, when you come back into the studio and have a lesson, and sometimes you're not really dancing as much, you're just mostly talking and talking through things. I did have I did that on Monday. I didn't also compete Latin, but and I don't want to get into too many details of it here per se, just because it's a long thing. But I will give the high level thing that like I did have a meeting with David and Yuri and Elena, and I've been with the studio 6 years, and my goals have changed a lot. Obviously the way that things have happened over the past year with like the pandemic, and then I wanted to do a lot of competitions and events after the pandemic. My older coach, he left, and then that's when I started with Yuri, and then we had the stage showcase come up last year, and I did a lot of different things. And I think the important thing that I've been pushing myself a lot to improve on everything, and I think that I kind of needed to make sure that I took a step back to reassess my goals for dance and what I'm looking to accomplish, because I think like having done it so long with the studio, like so much has changed that I just don't think the goals that I guess I had when I first came through the doors of Dance With Me, I'd far surpassed. So I think that I kind of just needed to pause and just like reassess like what are my goals moving forward, and how much am I going to push to get there, and in what pacing.
Right.
So I've kind of been in this position that I'm gonna change up a little bit of the cadence of how I do things. I'm still working on the details, but we had the conversation, all of us, and I think it was just I had been thinking about it a little before the competition, and then it's it was better just I wanted to have the conversation after the competition, and I think it was just like just because I've had a lot on my plate in my life, like overall, so I think it's just been I've pushed myself to keep going because I wanted to make sure that I didn't cut dance out when I was stressed in other areas. But I think it's just like all around I have to everything in my life I have to kind of reassess right now, like how much time am I spending, how am I doing this, am I doing this like efficiently, is this a good use of my time, am I pushing myself too much, am I doing it for the right reasons, all of that. So I'm in a little bit of a transition period with that, but I think that was a big conversation we had to have, and I feel a little better after it. I know it's always like you said, it's like sometimes when you have to make decisions for yourself, it's hard to you can't get caught up in how everybody else's opinion is of it.
Right.
And I think it's just like I know this is the right decision for me, and I'm grateful that Elena being the manager of the studio as well, and an instructor of mine, as well as David and Yuri, were very open there and receptive to listening and understanding and knowing they always joke when I say this, it's like it's not you, it's me. No, it's they always make fun of me when I say it because they're like, you don't need to use that line, but it's like no, it is something that I'm just going through, and I need to just change how I'm going about things at the dance studio for myself. So, but it's a positive. It's like I've experienced negative emotions to get to the point that I realized that a change was necessary, but it's a positive thing in the long run. And I think it's just right now it still can seem a little raw, but I know in the long run it's the right decision. So so anyway, I don't know how much I think it's just going to be apparent over time as we talk about things. But and I know you had spoken to Elena.
It was funny because we were all, I think, so dead tired from Sunday into Monday. I slept so long that day. Like when I got home, I was like, I'm out. I'm just crashing. And I actually got to the studio because Elena texted me like on my way there. She's like, I'm gonna be a few minutes late. And so I was the first one there, and I assumed David was there. But he wasn't because he didn't get there until 1:50, and my lesson was at 1. And so it was really funny because like I got there and I was waiting for Elena, and then she got there. She's like, I slept 11 hours last night. And I was like, me too. Like I think we all did.
I wish I did because I had to work.
Oh yeah, that's right. But she had told me that, and we walked in. It was really funny because I think it's because we're usually there every night, like we've talked about. And I walked in and I'm like, it looks different in here. It seems bigger. And then she was like, it's just because we haven't been here in a long time. I'm like, yeah, I know. But
quiet, and it was empty.
And it was empty, exactly. So we just talked, and she was like, I'm not gonna make you dance. I probably won't even make you put on dance shoes today, which we did it. We just talked for like 40 minutes of the 45-minute lesson, and then we danced for the last 5 minutes, just kind of going over a few things. But like I had talked about before, it was nice because she had told me like we watched we went over my showcase notes, basically pretty much what I had just told you about, and she said that everything was really good with that. And she had told me, like I had said, I've improved a lot in so many different ways with our Latin routines, which I was really happy to see that progress and see that improvement. And then we went through my videos and we pointed out that improvement. But then she also said, oh, hey, here's some things that we need to work on, like going forward. And I know I mentioned a few of them. I think one of them is like me just kind of leading a little bit more, leading a little bit smaller, because sometimes it's actually not even just that. It's more just my Latin frame or in posture in general, because I think my posture overall has gotten way better. But there's times where if I'm not thinking about it, I can tend to slouch over in my dances. And obviously the Latin posture is very up and the head's back and everything like that. And you're very kind of composed the whole time. And there's really not a lot of movement with that. That stays completely still most of the time. And we were pointing out in some videos where like I can tend to lean forward a little bit if I'm like getting out of my posture a little bit. So that's what I think we're going to continue working on. And in that is me leading a little bit smaller, because if I lead her kind of big in a turn, I kind of go forward and I take her with me. and that tends to like break my posture and frame a little bit. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm going to work on. But we talked about how my foot direction and my arms have gotten 10 times better.
Mhm.
I think we were talking about how my hip rotations, we want to improve. We want to improve on quite a bit, or at least a little bit in, especially in my samba,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of it in my samba, and we wanted to work on in my samba, especially the bounce a little bit more, because that's something that we want to work on a little bit better. Um, and then like I had talked about, we had talked about how we changed up our rumba routine kind of like in the middle of the competition. And we were
Mhm.
talking about how I think specifically with our rumba and our jive, there's parts where their steps repeat a lot. So that we're probably going to take out so we can kind of focus on some other things. Like there's that one part where we do like I do a cucaracha, like a set of cucarachas, and then we do a set of
Yeah.
cucarachas together. And then there's like that part where we do the opening outs, which we didn't really get to get too much. That's what I was talking about. I think we're gonna eliminate or take out one of the cucaracha parts and only have one of them. And then
Yeah.
there's like I forgot what we called them, but it's like the kind of followaways with the kicks and the in jive. Um I remember Elena asked Valeria and she said it and I forgot the name. I think it starts with an M. It's like a weird name. But
Mooch.
yeah, Mooch, that's what it is. Yeah. I was like,
I think it's also just called the hip bump, by the way,
the
when I was looking before.
oh,
Sorry,
okay, yeah,
I
yeah,
forgot that.
yeah. But we were doing the mooch and we do like 4 of those, and she said we're gonna kind of take out 2 of them, and then just she wants to take out 2 of them so we can kind of have more time for other things. So that
Mhm.
was nice to like. I'm glad that it
Yeah.
was like kind of pointing out the great things that I've improved on, and then also like, hey, here's what we can work on, and then
Mhm.
let's focus on this to work on in the next like foreseeable future, like going forward in the next like few lessons that we're gonna do. And so
Yeah.
that was nice. There was kind of like a balance of good things and then still things we got to work on. So that was nice. And
Mhm.
then she told me that we were going to probably slowly start working up to starting standard probably in January. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be really fun. I think we're gonna start with Waltz. She said maybe we'll start with Foxtrot, but she said that we don't want to completely rush into standard because it's completely different. And I haven't done most of the dances at
Yeah.
least for quite a while. So we're gonna slowly start
Mhm.
to work up to that. And like I had said, start working on the Latin kind of technique that we want to continue working on that we had mentioned. But it was just nice to kind of go over some things and feel like that we accomplished a lot. And she said overall, she thought that Latin Day for us went really well, and I completely agree with that. I'm very happy with
Yeah.
how
And you're making me think of ideas. I'm sorry.
that's the thing. I know.
Because I was like, there were other parts of this conversation I need to
I
continue.
know.
And I was like, oh, that's a good point of things. Sorry. Yeah, no, that's good. I know you've been excited to start standard and then you'll
Yes, I'm
join me
very
there
excited.
too. Oh my gosh.
I'm not even sure if
Okay.
Elena's done standard yet, so I think that'll be interesting.
Yeah,
I
I
know
don't
she's
know
done
how she
speaking to some
has.
people. I don't think she's done standard.
Yeah.
So that should be fun.
So yeah, so all right. I think the last thing to wrap up with dance because now we have to go over the finale.
I know we've spent so much
Crazy
time with
finale.
this.
Oh man. But anyway, so yeah, you get a lot of dose of everything today.
Yes.
So yeah, the last thing was so the dance classes for the month switched after the competition because of like we don't have the formation dance to practice anymore. So we had a sensual bachata class on Monday.
Yes.
And then we skipped out on salsa because we had to go watch the Dancing with the Stars finale, and we're all like running out of there. We're like, sorry, bye.
No, sorry. Team Spirit. Yeah.
And I know you said that Tuesday you didn't go to the group class.
Yeah, I
'cause you
didn't.
were
I just kind of
so
needed
exhausted.
so it was like, yeah, it was just a West Coast swing.
Oh,
And we've been doing that. That's been a fun class,
yeah,
but I was like,
yeah,
since that's a class or a dance I don't do often, I'm okay with skipping it if it means
yeah,
I get some rest for next week.
yeah. I think, and then it's like it's a holiday week, and like
Yeah,
we
right.
wanted to make sure we finished watching the shows before before because we're recording this the night before Thanksgiving, and
Yeah,
then now it's like a little break from the TV shows and
exactly.
competition's over and everything. So, okay, is that it for dance? Shall
I
we
think
go
that's
on to
it for dance. We
dancing?
spent a lot of time on dance. We apologize if it's long for people.
No, don't apologize. This is what they came for.
You know what? Exactly. You're right.
We gave you timestamps, and you can always speed it up. When I listen to the
Yes.
playback, I
You
listen at
wanna,
2 times the speed. So
exactly, totally right.
we are
Yeah.
not apologizing.
No, okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, on to Dancing
On to
with the
dance. Let's
Stars.
do it.
All right, so for the Dancing with the Stars finale, so we did watch it live. And then I know you and I, at least I did get to rewatch all of it. I know you
Yeah.
got to rewatch most of it.
Yeah.
Because like we didn't really take notes the same way we normally
Oh
take
yeah,
notes. I
yeah.
did take notes the second time just so I had them. But we decided not to go through our typical like format with honorable mentions because all the dances were great. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, so instead we just wanted to look at all of the different dancers and or like the celebrities and their dances, and we figured we'll just go in order from like fourth place to first place. So that will start us off with Shangela. So first up was the redemption dance, and Bruno had selected that Shangela redo the quick step because quick step was like from her week 2, I think it was. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I know so yeah, so go ahead, you start on what your thoughts were.
Yeah. I thought her quick step was great. I thought she was really I thought it was way like her first quick step was great, but I thought this quick step was much improved, and I was really happy to see that. Like we had been
Yeah.
talking about, her smooth and standard dancers are pretty much
Mhm.
on point every single time she's done one of those, and it's been so awesome. Her frame I thought was great. I thought her footwork was great. I thought her posture was great. I thought everything was great about it. I love Glove's choreography. I know we were talking about this in the middle of or when we were watching on Monday. We were kind of like, oh, is Lane gonna have a problem with this just because of like the first minute of the dance was up on the stage and not really in frame and stuff like that. And we know how kind of Len is a stickler for that.
Yeah.
So we were like, oh, is he gonna like it? But he didn't seem to have any problem with it. So that was good. I thought it was a much improved quick step, and I was very happy for her. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I mean, you basically said all of it, and we did post it on the story, but like in case you didn't get to see our Instagram stories and stuff while the live was going on, or the live that we did, which was very chaotic and everybody was making fun of me looking so stressed out. I was like that for the Bachelor in Paradise finale too, by the way. Anyway, sorry, back to the dancing. So yeah, I think, and I do have to say, because I know on Monday we were saying that like it wasn't as great as I thought it could have been, but it was great. When I rewatched it tonight, I liked it a lot better. I don't know what it was, maybe because that was like the first dance and we were all distracted and we were trying to get the Disney Plus to work and like rushing into Eleanor's house and all these things.
I know.
So I was like, no, I liked it a lot better, I think, than I originally did. But yeah, if you don't have anything else about the redemption dance, we can just get to the
let's get into the main event right now.
Oh my gosh. I mean, listen, this is what
we knew.
Regardless of anything else, we're like, Shangela needs to be in the finale just so we can see like an epic freestyle. And I just was like telling my dad, I'm like, Dad, you need to come in here and watch this. Like he watched some of the redemption dances when my mom and I had it on the iPad when we were still in the kitchen, and then we went to the living room, and then I told him like, you need to come and watch this, please. I don't think they liked it, but like I don't know, I don't think they enjoyed it as much as I did. But it was epic and it was like iconic. That whole, it was a drag performance, and it was like even Derek was like, you had like the magic, you had the technique, you had the jokes, it had everything. And then what I really, really enjoyed, and I was talking to one of my friends about it, that I know she is more like, she'll watch like RuPaul's Drag Race and all this, like I was discussing with her, and I said what I loved the most about, Gleb did dress up in drag as Natasha.
Amazing.
And I loved that he just embraced it, and he wasn't mocking it.
No, he was like, I'm a part. Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine he would have after the whole season working with Shangela and whatever. It was just I don't feel like there was any of that. It was just he truly embraced it, and it was amazing to see that. And I know, and Shangela had some other drag performers that were there performing, and I thought it was great just to like incorporate other performers into the show instead of just the pros, like the pros and the troupe members.
Yeah.
So and it was just like, I'm sure you could go through and be like, well, there wasn't as much technically and this and that and whatever, but it was like, you know what though, at the end of the day, that's what the freestyle is supposed to be. And it's like, that is an epic performance that will go down in history. Like, I don't care for Cha-Cha was great, and then the chicken flying, and then the drum, like the chicken legs, and it was amazing. Oh gosh, I just need to watch it again and again.
Me too.
So yeah. I mean, I don't know. That was just like, I mean, hands down the best freestyle of the night, just for that sheer reason. But she did end up fourth.
Yes. It was really good though. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Okay, should we go on to the next, or did you have anything else to say about the
I was
freestyle?
just saying that, like, I thought it was so funny that I just thought it was so funny. I think the thing that I remember the most about us watching it live was that I was thinking about this, but I didn't say it out loud. So like I wasn't like, I didn't say it out loud, but I was like, where's Gleb? Because like for the first minute of the dance.
Yeah.
And then I said it out loud. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Gleb. And you're like, what? When you saw that was, like,
I don't
so
think I
funny.
realized at first. I was like, wait,
That
what is
was like,
that?
because I didn't, I had like kind of do a double take for a second. I was like, okay, we haven't seen him for like the first half of the dance. And then I looked, I'm like, no way. And so like that was like you said, iconic, amazing, best
Oh my
freestyle
gosh.
tonight. It was so much fun. It's encapsulated everything that Angela is, and she's amazing. So yeah, I agree with what you said.
Yeah, it was just great. Oh my gosh. So
Fantastic.
third place was Wayne.
Yeah.
So he also had a quick step selected by Len for his redemption dance, and it was understandably so because he had the quick step on the week that he like that week when he was kind of sick and like didn't get to rehearse as
Yeah.
much, and it was just wasn't as great. I thought it was really good, and we kind of said it was good, but it wasn't as great as it could have been, and I think I still stand by that. And like
Yeah.
I listened a little bit more to because we were skipping ahead through some of the stuff,
You
so
want
we
to
could
try to
just
get
like
ahead, right?
we
Yeah,
just
yeah,
wanted to be on time with the finale,
right.
like the very ending.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
Len and Derek, they were kind of being picky, and I don't know. My mom was like really irritated. She's like, "It's the last week. Like, why are you?" I don't know. I mean, I think they have to be honest, but like, they were a little picky. It wasn't like the greatest that he's done, but I don't know. I mean, overall, his whole like body of work for the whole competition was great. It wasn't my
yeah.
favorite dance of his. It could have been better, but it was okay. And like, can we just still discuss the fact that he hosted the AMAs the night before?
I know.
I don't know how that man was like standing on 2 feet,
Yeah, I
let
have
alone
no
dancing.
idea. His commitment's great.
Yeah, and I was just like, geez, and I think it's just it's hard because like he obviously had a lot going on, and I think there were certain times closer to the end of the competition, I feel like he kind of started to like peter out a little bit. However, that freestyle
It
was
was
like
great.
when I watched it again too, I was like, it was really great. He
Yeah.
was like, it's our Super Bowl halftime show.
I know, and yeah, so good. And I agree about the quick step comment, like what you were saying. I thought it
Yeah,
was good. I thought it was improved from the first quick step, which obviously kind of
yeah,
made sense because his first quick step was at such a short notice that like it
yeah.
made sense that with more time he would probably get better at it, and he did. But I agree, it
Hmm.
probably could have been a little bit better in my opinion. In
But
terms of his posture, a little bit maybe footwork, but overall his body of work I thought was great. He's delivered some great performances. I think some of my favorites on the show,
hmm.
especially his jazz performance with Hamilton
Yeah.
and what was the other one? There was another one that he did. Was it oh, his salsa, the salsa he did,
Oh yeah,
I forgot what night that was, but those are like two of my favorite dances that's
yeah,
ever been on the show. But I agree with you about that. But then going
yeah.
to the freestyle, yeah, it was great.
Yeah, no, I mean his and the freestyle really it was like a great mix of all different dance styles and
Yeah,
I really it was great. I loved the freestyle. I thought
me too.
it was good. Um
Yeah.
okay. So okay, and then on to our runner up.
Yes,
And I was like, I don't know, and we've said it so many times. It could have been anybody that won.
it could have.
But like so Gabby was second place, Gabby and Val. So their redemption dance was their cha-cha that Derek had selected. And it was weird at first because I was like, well, her cha-cha was pretty good. But then when I watched it again tonight, I was like, oh, that was week 3, was Bond night. So
Yeah,
I was like, well, obviously that could have been better. He
that was
just did
week
it really
3. Yeah,
stiff. I think whereas like for Shangela and Wayne, they took a dance that wasn't that great and wanted them to do it better. Whereas I feel like with Gabby's, they were like, it was good, but they wanted to be great. And I think it's
yeah,
kind of the same thing with Charlie too. But like for Gabby, they did a great job with the cha-cha. I thought it was so improved. And
yes,
I think also just because of the fact that they had done the cha-cha and it was like Bond night and it had the whole vibe with it, it was like
yeah,
this was like a more like open type of cha-cha.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it was just like they had a little more freedom. Like the music was
More
I forget what
cha-cha-y.
song.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was more like cha-cha. I mean, her whole outfit was more like,
yeah,
a cha-cha outfit. The other one was like Bond girl. I mean, it was still amazing. It
yeah, yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
great. That was one of my favorite ones of hers that I'll always remember that outfit. But um yeah, so I don't know. Did you have anything else? with the
Yeah,
cha-cha.
no, I completely agree with you. What you said, it was much improved, and I said the same thing that you said. It was like the week 3 cha-cha. I thought it was good. I was like, why are they wanting to redeem it? And like you said, it made sense because like week 3, obviously, like you get a little bit like they're still kind of getting their feet under them with ballroom dancing and stuff like that, and rehearsing and all that. So that made sense, and I thought again, it fit the like the outfits and the music fit the cha-cha style rather than like the week 3 dance. So that made sense. So, but yeah, I agree. It was much improved for sure.
Yeah. Okay, and then they did their freestyle, and she did so the vision that Val had was like he wanted her to do like Broadway and be like leading lady, and she did the Cell Block Tango from Chicago, which I had actually done as a showcase, and I had done that back in 2018, and I was like rewatching it again, and I was like, this like makes me want to do it again.
It's a fun
I don't know. I'm thinking about it because I'm like, that was so many years ago. I'm like, I could probably do it better now. Like, I'd probably take the same choreo and then maybe we change up a few things. I don't know.
Yeah.
Thinking
It's
about it.
song, though.
Anyway, if I do, I'm not wearing the fishnets that have the crystals on them. Okay. Lesson learned. Anyway, so Gabby. Okay, Gabby. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. So that was amazing. I thought it was so great. It was choreographed so well. I mean, they had all the props. There were 11 guys.
I know.
I was like, I didn't have 11 guys dancing with me. I just had one. But it was really great. I think they accomplished what they wanted to. And the poor thing, her heel got stuck in her skirt at the very end. And that's why I was like thinking about the things with the fishnets. I'm like, because I saw her face and I'm like, what just happened?
But she played it off really well.
Oh yeah.
She did.
Yeah, you could tell for a second because she's like hopped and then she hit the keys, and I was like, oh my gosh. But it was so good. It's just interesting because like I felt like they all took a different approach with the freestyle. Like Shangela obviously just was like, I'm going to do a drag performance, you know. Wayne was like, we're doing a Super Bowl halftime show like thing, which totally gave off that vibe. And then Gabby and Val were like, we're doing Broadway leading lady, and then Charlie and Marks was a little different, but
exactly.
I loved it. It was just
so
like
good.
And for something that can be overdone, that a lot of people love to do that one, I felt like it stood out.
Right. Yeah. Totally. Completely agree. And it was fun. It was really cool because, like you said, it really felt like that big leading lady Broadway production based on the performance and the choreography. And I gotta tell you, Jenna, because they said that Jenna choreographed it, she said she did such a fantastic job choreographing it. It was so intricate and so detailed and just so fantastic and amazing. And Gabby really got into character for that. And everything was just so great. I thought it was fantastic, like you said.
And our champion.
Charlie
and Mark. Our champion, sorry. I mean, credit too, not just Charlie. But no, so their redemption dance was a jive. Carrie Ann had picked it out. And that was the prom week. And like her jive was great. And I just remembered we had said it like it wasn't one of her best ones, like at that point in time. But I mean, everything was so good. It was just like, it was so great, but just not the top. Let me tell you though, like this was far superior to her first one, which we said this was. Did I say? I thought I said cha-cha for a second. I think I was looking at Gabby's notes. No, it was like jive. Yeah. No, this was far superior to that first jive that she did. It was honestly, I think, the best of the redemption dances.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
And I think, we were saying that when we were watching it live.
Yeah.
Too. I love the outfits, the pink and the black.
That was really cool. And it fit what Carrie Ann was wanting because I mean, we were talking about this during her prom night. Like everything, technique, execution of the steps, everything like that was fantastic. But then like the one kind of shortfall of it was her kind of like energy and emotion in it. Kind of a little bit low for what we would want in a jive. And then for this redemption dance, it went all the way through the roof. So like it was fantastic, like you said.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is like it's like, girl, if you can do that Argentine tango, you can do jive. You know, because like jive is easier for me because it's more like my personality. I mean, I need more energy sometimes, but it's like personality wise, that's a little bit easier for me to pull off than an Argentine tango. I don't know, maybe Charlie and I don't have the same issues with that, but I think by that point in the competition, because like really it was like Carrie Ann had said, like the last 2 weeks you really like broke open, so it's like now we want to see it in the jive. So I thought that was a good selection.
Exactly.
And then the freestyle. So I know when we watched it and then like after the fact, part of me was just thinking like I wish they did. Okay, so I guess after we watched it, before I rewatched it, I was thinking like I wish they did more because it's like, you know, I mean, not that you just want it to be like all the glitz and the glam and not the actual dancing and
Yeah.
the content, but I don't know. I think it was just like in hindsight, I was like, I kind of wish they did more because I'm like, I just feel like she was just capable of so much more. But then I think because then when I rewatched it tonight, I listened a lot more to what Mark and her were discussing about like her whole process of how she lost her love for dance because people were, once she started to become famous, then people started mocking her like, oh, you're just a TikToker and not a dancer. And she quit dancing. And so Mark's whole vision of the showcase was it to be very freeing. He didn't want to do all the extra stuff. And it was just to be like regaining that love for dance.
Yeah.
And I think I had a better view of it again once I like listened to that commentary because when I watched it, it was amazing. I think it's just not what you typically expect from a freestyle
Yeah.
routine. I mean, I don't know. And then I'll talk because Derek
No,
talked a little bit about it as well, and we can get into that. But what did you have anything
no,
else
I
to add
totally
about
agree
the
with you.
dance?
No, I completely agree with what you were saying. And I think especially the fact that like it was not really anything too fancy. It really
Mhm.
kind of like pulled you into the story that they were trying to convey. I thought that was so fantastic.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great that like they kind of had different like stages of the dance too. It kind of brought that full circle. It was kind of like, oh, she has that love for dance in the middle. It kind of like, oh, it took her out of
Yeah.
it. And then back at the end, like she's fallen back in love with dance. I like how it kind of is like
Mhm.
different styles of dance, the different parts of the music, and then it like had like was also telling the story. So I like
Yeah.
how there was not much like extra stuff to distract you from the story because I like you were talking about. I think the story was very important.
Yeah.
So I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, I think and it was just I mean just to like touch on that topic too, like Derek kind of said how he's experienced it as well. And
Yeah.
then because like Tyra kind of asked him because like he got a little emotional and then she's like, "Oh, have you experienced that?" And he's like, "Yeah, because you just sometimes you forget why you dance in the first place." And I think um like going back to the and I know we talked about it a little bit while we were sitting there watching and like um I think, you and Elena were talking a little bit about it and it's like, does that happen? And I'm like, yeah, it happens. Because I think, like you were saying when we were there the other night, like it's like you're still very new to dance. So it's like
Yeah.
you just have such a passion for it right now that I don't think and I don't want to sit here and say that everybody gets to that point.
Yeah.
I think I experienced it a lot with skating.
Hmm.
I mean, I competed for 20 years basically, and I think I mean, I competed from when I was 6 to 11, or well, I started when I was 6 and I basically competed from when I was 6 till 26, roughly. And I think, um, and this, I don't need to get so much into the whole stuff with the skating, but I think for me, it's like that took me from grammar school through middle school, through high school, through college, through a break in between college and grad school, and up until literally the week I started my first full-time job. And um, I think there were just many challenges along the way that I dealt with that made me question why am I skating? Like there's other important things in my life that I should be focusing on, not skating. But I kept trying to push through all of it, and I think there was like goals that I wanted to achieve, and I unfortunately I didn't reach them by the time that I did pack it in. But it was hard because I did want to make sure that I did everything in my power to try to achieve them because then it's like if I didn't achieve them then I knew I did everything. But
Yeah.
there were a lot of times like I just would remember I'd be frustrated from a competition or
Yeah.
how a season went or something or like regrouping or something else was happening in my life that kind of just made me feel like skating wasn't important. And I just remembered like I'd come home and everything in my room that was like skating related, I would like take down from the walls and like shove it under my furniture and like not look at it. Um, and it's I think it's different for everybody, like what the trigger point is for that. And I think, um, like I'm just fortunate that did I went through the whole process with skating to the point that like I know that I love it and because people would always ask me like, "Oh, do you miss competing for skating anymore?" And I was like, "No." And it was kind of funny because at first they're like, "What?" And I was like, "No, like I don't miss it because I did it as long as I did, and I made sure I pushed myself to the end." of
Yeah,
it. And I still
right.
like to skate for myself, and I periodically do like still like to do shows and things like that. And I think there's just it's a different relationship with it now, and I coach and I do that. And I think honestly I even feel like I just like to just skate to clear my head,
Yeah,
honestly, because it's like I'm just used to doing that. And I think what I was talking a little bit about before, like I have been at the dance studio for 6 years, and before that, like when I was younger, I did ballet, tap, jazz theater, like performing company. I for many years I did the recitals. I also I was going to like different ballet studios after I stopped all of those dance styles, that I was going to other dance studios strictly just for ballet, just to accompany the skating, or like I was doing ballet at the skating rink. We'd have
yeah,
an instructor come. Um like, and I did it for that purpose. But I think when I started ballroom, like, it was a different style of dance. And I think that's where I don't want to say I mean, I haven't lost my love for dance. I think it was just that I think the realization that I kind of had come to was, if I keep going down this path and just doing things the way that I'm doing them, I could get myself to a place that I will be in that position.
yeah,
And it's like, I know when on certain days I'm stressed, I might like start to like teeter on those emotions. And I think that's where I was kind of like, I have to take this as a point of, I want to make sure, like, to Derek's point, I need to remember why I'm doing this.
yeah,
And it's not like with skating, it was so, for me, I did it and I pursued it so competitively, like as from a kid, like the age you're supposed to do it. Whereas I think with dance, it's even more like, at this point in my life, like I have a full-time job, I'm an adult, I do all these other things, I have other hobbies and things that I do, that it's like, if I'm going to come into the dance studio and I'm going to be there, I want to make sure that I'm getting what I want to get out of it and
yeah,
doing that. And I think it's just like, it's a good thing for everybody to always check in with themselves sometimes, because I think it's just, for anything, it's not just for
right.
dance or
Yeah, so it
skating
doesn't have
or
to be for dance,
sports.
exactly. It can be anything.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's just I think that's the thing, is just sometimes we just get used to always doing things like the same way, that we don't always like reassess like why we're doing things.
Yes.
Um so that's my whole tangent on that. But
No,
yeah, and it's just like, and that's the thing, I don't want to be like doom and gloom about it, and just like, because it's like I've experienced the highs and the lows and things like that. So I think it's just I get it, I totally get it. And I think when I really listened to what like Mark was trying to convey with the dance, like it meant a lot more to me. So I mean, and I commend her for, like, she didn't just go pull out all the stops to kind of like win. They went for the dance that made sense for their
yeah,
story. So yeah, so I mean, I think we can talk a little bit about I mean, so Charlie did win. I'm sure, and I really haven't looked around on any of the comments or things, like I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like a little bit bothered by the fact that she was like a trained dancer and she won. But like I said when we did the live the other day, she has worked for that. It was not um and I think a lot of people wouldn't even doubt that anyway, but it's just like, I don't think she really got a lot out of it, and she really 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 pushed herself. Like, I think she was just already on that level, that her pushing herself was able to just take her to this like this level that was amazing. And I feel like it's 100% deserved. I hope people can be mindful of that, of like, look,
yeah,
I know that that's the show. And like, I mean, I'm still sitting here thinking like, Trevor's Roomba is still like one of the best Roombas of the season, and I
yes.
honestly want to be like, I need to go back on YouTube and watch
I
it.
know, me too.
And like, Shangela's freestyle was the best, and like her Halloween dance, and like I think back to like Selma when she did, I think it was the quick step to the Muppets, and like
Yeah, there's
um
many memorable things.
yeah, like from everybody. And I think that's the thing, like I think back to the previous seasons when they were showing all these clips and clips and clips, like there's certain things you just remember, and they weren't the winner. But
Yeah,
it's uh Mark did a post, and I was reading it like, well, we've been in the between the breaks for the videos for the episode, and I read his caption, and he was just saying that how Charlie like worked so hard, and just like she never complained, she all of these things. And he's like, he was hesitant to come back on the show, but he took a leap of faith on it. And he just said he was so proud of the body of work that they created. And I think that is such a good way to put it, because it's
Yes.
like, I think, and like you think of like Vinny's like Luca dance, like just because he didn't win, like, you know, it's about the process
Right.
and what you do with it.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it's like we kept saying whoever wins it, we're happy with
We're
it.
happy because
This is a
anybody
really
in the
good
final
season.
four could have won, and I
Yeah,
would have been happy with
yeah,
any of them.
yeah,
Obviously, we kind of had that like selfishly, like kind of with Gabby just because of the whole Bachelor thing,
yeah,
but like anybody could have
yeah,
won, and I would have been really happy with it.
yeah.
And to go back to your point, and I've talked about this before, that my dad works with Sam Champion, who was on the show
Hmm.
this season, and he was saying the same things that you did because all the contestants got to know each other very closely. And what Sam was telling my dad was that Charlie was so shy around everybody, and she was very hard on herself if like she didn't get a step
Hmm.
right or something like that. And she took this process very seriously. It wasn't like she was like, "Oh, I have this
Yeah,
in the bag" from the beginning.
yeah,
And that he was saying that she worked so hard, like he saw behind the scenes how hard she worked with this
hmm,
and how much work she put in. You could definitely see that because as we've talked about before with like different dance styles and stuff like that,
yeah,
they're completely different. Like when we've done like a hip hop class or
hmm,
something like that, in terms of like not a ballroom style or anything like that, it's not like it's completely different. And it's a different mindset and a different like rhythm you have to be in. And
yeah,
so with her, like usually unless you grow up in ballroom or you kind of do it for a long time, you don't
hmm,
know how much work and commitment it takes. Obviously, all dance
yeah,
styles take that same level of work and commitment, but with ballroom, like especially since you're dancing with a partner, you don't most other dance styles you don't dance for the partner. So like
hmm,
or like you're like you can dance ballroom without a partner, but it's usually not what you usually do. Like you can dance all the
yeah,
other ones by yourself. And so you really have to gain a level of trust and commitment with dancing with somebody else.
yeah,
And you could see how much work she put into that.
hmm,
So, like you said, it was totally well deserved, and you could just see how much dedication she had in it, and
yeah,
she just blew so many like expectations off of like of what people might have of her, like you said. And
yeah,
also, what my dad had talked to Sam about is that she takes a lot of those like kind of comments to heart. Like you would think that like, oh, she's like gets all those kind of comments all the time. She kind of brushed them off, but like
yeah.
they were talking about how she like really had takes those kind of like negative comments to heart and they really like affect her. So I'm just happy that the fact that you can see how much work she put in
Oh
and
yeah,
that showed in the dances that they created. And like you said with Mark, he had said that he was happy with the like the piece of art that they created. And
yeah,
they really did because like when you watch back every single dance that they did, it
hmm,
really conveyed something. And it was everything was so memorable. And like you said, there were so many
yeah,
different memorable dances from this season. And I know we'll probably go and talk about them from for years to come. And they were just she was
yeah,
definitely well deserved. I'm very happy for her.
yeah. I'm like, I'm almost tempted to watch the show now if I have time to really have a show just because of this. No, I mean, I mean, congratulations, and like, I just, you know, it's just, I think the thing is for her, and like, I don't really know the whole. I mean, I think she was like one of the first people to go viral on TikTok. Like,
I
and I
think
think
so.
the
Yeah,
thing,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like it's just like this level of like fame and people like looking into your life. And it's like, you think of someone like Selena Gomez that, I mean, I don't know, I have to like compare the numbers of people, followers, and whatever they have. But like, you look at someone like Selena Gomez where it's like I don't feel like she just skyrocketed to that fame. It was
Yeah,
like she was like on Barney when she was younger, and then she did like Disney Channel, and then it's like, you know, and worked her way up, and then like,
yeah,
you know, it grew and grew and grew. Like it's taken her years to get to that level of fame. And
exactly.
I do want to watch the documentary, which is a whole other story.
Yeah,
But you
yeah,
know, that's the point. Like she talks about how it's mental health taking a toll on her and this
yeah,
and that and the other thing. And she's also had like physical ailments and whatnot that have
yeah,
also contributed to that. But I think it's like, you think of someone like Charlie, that it's like she was a regular person that just started posting videos of herself dancing in her living room, and then all of a sudden you have that same equivalent of that number of people looking in on your life that are
yeah,
also looking in on like Selena Gomez's life. Like
yeah.
it's I feel like she has to have roughly the equivalent of
Yes,
followers, like
maybe even more.
via like probably more, or
Yeah,
yeah, maybe more or less, or just like by only a little bit, and then you know, it's like, and then as she's gotten other opportunities now, it's like there's more and more things that so I think it's just like it's very, it can probably be very like humbling and crushing at the same time and all this. So I think this is
Yeah.
just like yeah, she didn't take this lightly. So
No, totally.
I'm
Especially
so happy.
me too. Me too. Especially since the fact, like she talked about in her prom week,
Yeah.
like she went to prom with her friends from
Yeah.
Connecticut. It's that's kind of to your point that before all the TikTok fame, she really was just like a regular kid, like
Yeah.
up in the small town with like kind of a regular group of friends, like not in like the Hollywood circle or whatever.
No.
So like the probably to be thrusted into that world at that age. And she got famous like more than 2 or 3 years ago. She's 18 now, so she probably got famous like 15, 16. To have that level of responsibility and that level of fame, like I can't even
Yeah.
imagine how stressful that is. So like
Yeah.
you said, people looking into every part of your life, even if it's like the most personal things that you never share with people, like that is
Yeah.
just so difficult. And like you said, she just worked so hard for it. And I'm just very happy for her and Mark. And I think Mark also to kind of give him credit as well. He You can tell he really treated his partnership with them or with her delicately. Like he didn't try to like make her do anything that would be like, oh my gosh,
No.
this is like so crazy or anything. He didn't try to push her. You can tell he
No.
didn't do that. Like you didn't
He's
like,
great.
like
Yeah.
he's like, oh yeah, she could like, oh, since she's famous, let's like make her do this or make her act this way or whatever. You saw how he wanted her to be her authentic self. And I think that's so
Yeah.
awesome. And I'm just so happy that we got to see him again because he's such a
Yeah.
creative individual. And we've talked about this on the show before, that I think he's one of hands down one of the best choreographers in the history of the entire show. He's just so creative
Yeah.
and just he thinks outside the box all the time and he's
Yeah.
so great. But you can tell he truly cares about people. And that's no different with Charlie. You could tell how much he truly cared about her. And I just think that's so awesome. So yeah, I'm very happy
Yeah.
for both of them.
Yeah, and I think I also said, I mean, one last thing, so I'm thinking about it too. Like I do, that's the thing with skating. Like I have some of the younger kids that I've known and I've skated with. Some of them have been able to reach the point that they're at the Olympics, and you know they're not all competing representing the U.S. Some of them are representing other countries, and like I've
Yeah.
spoken to them about. I'm not name dropping, but it's just like, you know, I've spoken to them about things, and it's just like they are younger, and it's just interesting how like I'll talk to them about things and like posting stuff on social media and this and that and all that stuff. And they're like, you know, the things that they have to think about because of like how the media could take it or spin it or
Yeah.
say something, or this one could say something. It's like, oh my gosh, like it's so crazy, you know. I think it's just, and it's just like obviously then they're representing different countries. It's the US, so some of them are smaller than the US. So it's like the scale of their fame within that country, it's like relative like to, I mean, it might not be the same number of like followers, but like proportionally, like of the people in that country, like a lot of
Yeah.
them follow your story that they don't have any relation to you. And it's just
Exactly.
crazy. Like I've kind of, you know, obviously not like Charlie level, but I've seen a little bit of that too, which is really I don't know.
No,
It's
totally.
interesting.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, there were the different segments, and I'll go in order. There were like a few different like other segments. So I did want to talk real quick about, so Cheryl is leaving the show. It's her last year as a pro. And she did want to do a farewell dance, and she did it with Pasha and Louis, who she said are the two favorite pros to dance with. And I think it's crazy because Louis been there so many years, and then Pasha's like relatively new to the show. So it's like, did she know? Like, how long did she like know Pasha ahead of
Oh, I
time?
know.
And I don't know. But I think it was a great performance, and I was so happy to see her have that moment. And like we know that, you know, Cheryl's been through a lot in her life in that time. And I think it's just I don't know exactly what her next journey is. I think she's still figuring that out, but you know, she's had a great run on the show, and I wonder, and I don't know if your dad found this out from Sam. I'm wondering if like Cheryl, because I think she said she'd been thinking about it for some time. So did she tell Sam like either you're doing it this season or you're not because I'm leaving? Like I wonder if she did that because I know they had that friendship.
No, yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but
Yeah.
maybe you'll have to ask your dad.
Maybe, yeah, I gotta see exactly.
I like trying to get all the information. Did you have anything else on that?
No, pretty much the same things that you said, and she's been a pro on the show pretty much since the beginning, and since I started watching in season 4, I've always grown up with her and watching, and she's
Yeah.
just so like the pros pro, just like best professional ever, and she's just like she always puts 110% in everything she does, and
Yeah.
I think she's really inspiring and she's awesome. So I really wish her the best in everything that she does, and I'm sure we'll follow her into
Oh
her
yeah.
new life
Yeah.
outside of Dancing with the Stars. But she's been amazing, and it's been so awesome to see her.
Okay, so the next like special segment they had, I mean, they obviously had everybody that had left the show come back and do the group
Yeah.
routines, but they let Selma do a like kind of a solo, her and Sasha, and it was a special performance that they performed to No Air by Jordan Sparks was able to sing it, and it was beautiful. I think it was kind of more like contemporary style, and it was so breathtaking, the whole performance. I'm so glad she had that moment.
Too.
And I think Selma she did such a great job on the season, and I was so happy to see her have another moment to dance.
Me too. Especially the fact that like she had to leave like not on her own terms.
Yeah.
So I'm glad she got to come back and be like, hey, I did this. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
I'm really happy for her.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't just like bundle her into any of the group dances.
No,
And
I
I think
don't-
everybody was understanding enough of like, hey, like she deserves her moment.
Right, exactly.
It's fine. I don't think anybody was salty about it. So I'm
No,
like,
no,
that's
exactly.
yeah, I think they really all cared about each other this season.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
not that they
yeah,
haven't in the past, but it was just like I just feel like it was a good family moment. And then so Len is leaving as a judge.
That's about last week, yeah.
And after 31 seasons now, and it's crazy because that's what he said during Shangela's freestyle. He's like, in 31 seasons, that's the only one that I forgot to vote. It's the last dance. It was the last dance.
It was that good that
it was just it was the last dance of the night, and it was the last one that he ever judged, and I was like, oh my God. But I don't know, the whole thing, I thought it was adorable. They gave him a mirror ball trophy to keep,
that's sweet.
which I know we were like all talking and everything when we watched it on Monday, so I was like, I got to watch actually the clips in the segment.
Me too. Yeah,
And it was so great. Like everyone was saying thank you, and it was like all pros and celebrities and stuff from the past and saying stuff. And the one thing that I'm so glad that they brought up, and I need to like re-find these videos on YouTube because they were amazing. So they had Kenny Mayne and Jerry Rice used to do those segments that were called Dance Center, like
right.
Sports Center. And it was so fun. I think they looked like they were like sitting there like half naked. And I was like, they were so funny. They were all so funny. Oh man, I was so glad they reminded me of that. It was just,
I remember that. That was so great.
Yeah, and like Len really was a good sport with all of that and like playing along, because you'd think like, oh, whatever. But yeah, I mean, good for him that he's moving on to do, like retiring, essentially, I guess is the best way to say it. So yeah, I thought the whole tribute and everything they did was great. It was wonderful.
Completely agree. Yeah.
And then the last exciting news, which on Monday after I left Eleanor's house when we were watching, and I scrambled to come home. So we had decided that we want to go see the Dancing with the Stars tour, and then you've gone in the past and you've gotten VIP, and like I had gone in 2019, I didn't, or the beginning of 2020, and I didn't do VIP, and then Rebecca was supposed to come with me to that one, but she couldn't come. So I went with our friend Maura. So I was like, Rebecca, you and Matthew and I need to go see Dancing with the Stars. And I was like, let me talk to Matthew about the tickets, whatever. So we decided we wanted the VIPs, like one of the VIP levels. And you were both like calling me and texting me when I was like on the way home. And it was like they announced who was doing which one, and we weren't listening. And you know what's really funny? Gabby's co-hosting. They announced it on the show while we were
didn't notice
live.
it. I remember
that was when we were, because when you watched the beginning of the live back,
you
that
could
was
hear it.
Trying to figure out the YouTube live. I'm like, how did we not hear that?
How did we not hear that?
I don't understand. But so then that was the point, was you looked it up after I dropped you home, and then you called me and you're like, wait, so Gabby's co-hosting. I was like, and then the tour site crashed, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to get on and buy these tickets right now. And we were going to try to go to the one show the one night, because there's there's multiple in Jersey, but two of the ones in Jersey we were looking at, and it was like, oh my gosh, they don't have 3 of these VIP seats next to each other. So I was like, okay, let me go look at the other one, and then and then I was like messaging Rebecca, and I was like, hey, like, can you go on the other date just in case? And she wasn't answering me at first, and I'm on the phone with you, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope so whatever. I just went in and I scrambled and I bought the tickets, and then she like I hit like submit payment, and then it went through, and then she called me and I was like, I had to buy them for the other night. Can you go still? And she said yes. So it's fine. I mean, obviously we're gonna have to get there earlier for the VIP, which
Yeah.
like you helped me find all that, and I saw it, and it's just like, okay, a week before they're gonna email me.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, we got the tickets, we're all good, whatever. Because I was just so nervous we weren't going to get them then at that
Yeah.
point, or it was gonna be some weird situation. But then I looked at the tickets, and it said regular on the ticket, and I almost keeled over. So because I was like, how am I paying this much for a ticket and it's a regular ticket? So I went back to the website, because on the one site for the one venue that we were originally going to go to, you look at the picture of the whatever, the room, the whole room, and you see the seats and they're color coded, and it's like VIP1, VIP2, regular orchestra, blah 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 blah, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But the venue we were going to, it just said, I like looked at like the $575 VIP, like the literal front row. I was like, what do those say? And it all said regular, regular, regular. It was just different prices. And I was like, oh my gosh, don't tell me that I got a regular ticket in the VIP section. That's not a VIP ticket. But then I think we're fine, because we're in like the 13th row, and then it's fine.
It matches with what the website says.
I
So.
just panicked. I panicked so much. I panicked. I'm so mortified. So we are going to get to meet Gabby. Yes. At least Gabby and
a few other pros.
yeah, and Rebecca's so excited to talk to Britt about working with Daniel, and I feel so bad because Daniel's like not joining the tour till like the next one or two stops after, and I'm like, I don't know. When I went to go see the one in 2020, like Ginger Z came to perform, and like they had a few other people, because I think Kate Flannery was there and Hannah Brown, and
Oh, okay.
they had more people. So I can't imagine that it's just Gabby. They just announced like those are the people that were kind of like the top grouping of people. They're definitely not going to be able to have Shangela because she's going on tour and she has a tour that night.
Mhm.
And like I think out of those people, they're not going to have anybody else, but like maybe they'll announce like later on they're gonna add like a few extra people or something that were like maybe from previous seasons, or from
Something
like they
that.
got let go earlier on, or I don't know, something like that. So I'm curious to see who else we'll get to meet now.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited.
So it's and then I realized that like Val's not going on tour because Jenna's due.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I mean, we've met Val, but it would have been cool because then we could have at least been like, yeah, well, we know Val, and then
Yeah, I know exactly.
but it's okay. I mean, we can still tell them we know Val.
No, exactly.
And then oh my gosh. So
it was a lot of fun.
It was a great season. I thought we had some really, really talented people, really interesting people. Like I have to go through and let's put it this way. I'm gonna come through my social media, my own like personal one, and I gotta follow some people from the season of Dancing with the Stars and unfollow some people from the season of Bachelor in Paradise.
Yes.
Anyway, I don't know if I can stomach their stuff anymore. Anyway,
priorities.
Oh, so did you have anything else on dancing, or shall we go to the beach for the last time?
Yeah, go to the beach for the last time. I thought for the dancing thing for the season, like you said, it was fantastic. I think this is my top 4 pretty much since I forgot what season it was, but it was the season that Alfonso won. And anybody could have won that this season. I thought it was so great. We had some really memorable performances. All the pros did great, all the troupe did great. And yeah, I'm really excited for next season. And this season was great. And like you said, let's go to the beach for one last time.
I know. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I know. Let me get over here. Hang on.
We're gonna have to figure out what our backgrounds are gonna be.
I know. I know that's gonna be something.
I mean, I have ideas, but
No, I know. Back to the beach one last time.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so episode 15.
Yes.
So it started off with a lovely extended segment of Wells' story time, where he basically recapped everything that has happened this season. And this is all right before the last rose ceremony. So Mara left. She just was like, I think I'm gonna leave. You know, my mom like was watching me rewatch that part. She's like, why is she still there? She's not. I was like, Mom, I have to give her credit. And I think I said this last week, because I think, unfortunately she came down on the beach, she went out with Justin, and then that obviously didn't really work out. But I think the point was that it's like she kind of realized early into her time there that there's nobody here for me, but I'm just gonna enjoy myself. So like when they went to the Sadie Hawkins dance, she had fun, and she's like, I'm just gonna enjoy it and milk it for what it's worth right now.
Yeah.
So you know what? She made the right choice by not even staying around for the rose ceremony, because she didn't have to witness all the other stuff that happened right before it.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, and I like really I have to give kudos to her for like just kind of accepting it at face value of like, okay, it is what it is. I just have to accept this is it and make the most of it. So I give her a lot of credit.
Yeah.
Me
too. I thought it was funny that, just going back to the whole Wells thing,
yeah.
I thought it was really funny that like his story times are always iconic, and so it's just always fun to watch. And I love how he ended it by saying, "The season of Paradise has been itchy and painful to watch." I love how he threw that little thing in there. That was like,
Of course he did.
Of course he did. He had to always do that. I thought that was funny. And then like you said about Mara, I just thought it made sense that like I give her a lot of credit that she had a good attitude about it. Like I think, like, I know she kind of got a bad rap, or like people were kind of like saying stuff about her on Colton season, but or Clayton season. Sorry, I get those two mixed up. But
Listen, everybody.
I know, doesn't everybody. I know, it's just like I say those two names mixed up all the time, and it's like, okay. But on Clayton season, a lot of people were like talking about how like, oh, whatever, she's like the older person and everything, and like whatever. But I do commend her a lot, and I think she handled it with like a lot of class, and was like, you know what? I just know my person's not here. I'm not gonna waste my time. I don't want to waste anybody else's time. So like, I wish you guys the best, but I'm gonna leave. So I think I wish Mara the best, and I just am really happy for her that she did that. I think it's probably the best decision.
Yeah. And then I don't know, Genevieve, I guess, got irritated with Aaron. I don't even know what it was about, so I just wrote it. I wrote Genevieve got irritated with Aaron ? And I'm gonna leave it. Then the rose ceremony started.
I know, and what I said.
Did you have any information on that before I go into the rose?
I didn't either. All I just said is I said, "Oh, here we go again with the Genevieve and Aaron drama," and I did the annoyed emoji face, and I said, "They really are showing us why they aren't meant for each other, are they? Or like they really are." But
no, apparently there was some other rumors, but we can get into that later. But
exactly. But I knew what's going on, so
yeah, I haven't looked it up. I just heard it on one of the podcasts, and I was like, wait a second, I haven't sat down and like read anything. So okay, so they go to the rose ceremony. The guys finally have the roses again. So Michael gives it to Danielle, Brandon to Serene, Johnny to Victoria, Tyler to Brittany, Aaron to Genevieve, Justin to Flo, Joey to Shanae, and Logan goes to offer
God
to Kate.
This happened.
Well, thank God this happened for him in the long run.
Opinion.
But like to Kate, and I couldn't believe that she did it like that. I mean, okay, so I forgot to add, they didn't keep the cocktail party.
Yeah, they didn't.
So she couldn't. I feel like they did it because they knew that she would do this, but she could have done this a lot classier than she did it.
No, she did. I think he dodged the bullet.
Yeah. I mean, it was really embarrassing. She just was like, I don't accept this, and blah 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 blah. I didn't even write down the exact words she said. She just rejected his rose and said no, and like, you can't provide for me what I want, and this whole thing, and his face. And everybody else was like watching this, like, what is happening?
I know. And then,
I mean, it's just horrible. Sorry, go.
No. Go ahead. I was just. Did you have anything else you want to say?
Oh no, all I was gonna say was that he said Shanae liked me for who I was, and Kate didn't, and I was like,
that's totally true. I just thought it was so weird. I said, what was that send off where she like kind of left and she was like, I'll see you on the other side. I was just like, I don't even know what she means by that. And then the whole, I know, I'm not sure if you were planning on getting to this, but like the whole thing where she talked about like, where she said, I said the end clip that she said, I said the end clip of Kate is all we need to know about her. Like it says all about her. It really does.
I need a guy with a big blank and a bigger paycheck. Ben and Ashley I's podcast today, and then Ben's like, I don't know why they had to bleep out the word heart. Heart's not a bad word. like yes, Ben.
Yes, Ben. I know, but that whole thing just annoyed me.
You know what? True colors. Sorry.
Exactly.
And also, like, obviously we saw with the after Paradise reunion thing, it was just like not I don't know, she like apologized, and then it was weird, and then she's been posting stuff on social media, and it's like just apologizing for classist things she said, and it's just like, girl, you're on a reality TV show.
Well, I know.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get
I
to
just
that.
feel like in this moment, Logan, and I just realized Logan could do a lot better. So I think I think he did okay with this.
Yeah. He'll be fine. Like,
He'll
he's
be
better
fine.
off not
He's
and
better
not
off,
for
yeah.
nothing. I wish this kind of happened sooner, because then maybe he could have gone on a date with what's her name, Lindsay, and then who knows.
Right. Yeah.
Although I think he had enough.
Yeah.
Like, let's just go back to the real world now.
Yes.
I think there's enough.
Yes.
And then it was like the next day, and then Jesse comes in and he's like, okay, paradise is over. You all need to start talking now. So Tyler and Brittany decide to leave together. And then Joey and Shanae talk, and I don't know. I understand Shanae's concern about him being too young, but I feel like she's just like citing these like reasons that don't
make it
really
much sense.
fit
No, I
him.
know.
And I'm
No,
like,
I
girl,
know.
just say, look, you're too young. I just don't feel like this is right. We need to just call it quits. Like, and then the difference in their two breakups was just so different. Like, because with Flo with Justin, so at
They're
the
like,
moment, I don't
okay.
think we should pursue things outside of paradise. And it was like,
And they're
me
like,
too.
okay, yeah, I know. I was like, that was easy.
I posted the meme, and they're like, our breakup is the funniest thing ever. So like, they're apparently, I think they're friends, obviously.
No, I
but
know.
it's just like, I don't know. I don't
I
know about Joey and Shanae.
No, I know. I thought the whole thing with Shanae was so funny because like she sat down with him and was like, they already knew something. We already knew something was going on. And then she was like, well, I want a man. And he was like, well, are you saying I'm not a man? She's like, no, I don't mean that. But like, I just think it was so back and forth. And just the whole thing was so hilarious. And then I thought, no, I know exactly. And then I thought the whole Justin and Joey leaving was like iconic. That was so funny.
You're more of a man than she'll ever be.
She'll ever be. I know. I don't know. I'm not sure if he meant for it to come off that funny, but it was really fun. It was great.
I don't know. I just thought it was funny. I mean,
awesome.
Whatever. I mean, I just felt bad for the guys, because like, let me tell you, there were the memes, and they're like, everybody's mocking these guys because they're younger than them, and they have handled their relationships more maturely than more than half the beach.
Exactly.
And I 100% stand by that statement.
Me too.
So I'm like, I agree.
Right.
So I don't know. Exactly. Whatever. I mean, I don't think their fit was there, but it's like, don't mock them.
No, don't.
Like, oh, goodness. Anyway, so Johnny's and Victoria's conversation went well. And then Aaron and Genevieve.
Yes.
So
here we go.
Okay, he breaks up with her, and he's citing the thing of whenever something's wrong, you wanted to pack your bags. It's the most sense he's made. However, in the way he addressed it, he made it seem like it was only about a lack of like a flaw in her and not in him, or just that in the relationship.
Yeah.
And then like I don't know, because of how she is, and like understandably, because I'd be pissed too.
Yeah.
She go back down to like kind of tell him this, like, you always make it about this and blah 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 blah. I didn't even take notes on it, honestly, but she was just like, stop acting like I was the only one that was responsible. Like, and you put all the blame on me, and then it was this and that. It just was like a mess anyway. And then everybody was like talking about like, look, can we talk about the one like random hair that's hanging on his head or something? And then because I saw it in the memes, and then I was like watching it when it was on the iPad when I was watching it back, and I was like, oh my gosh, I see this now. But I don't know. It was a mess. We knew this was coming.
It was
coming.
I know we did, and that's why I said Aaron doesn't see a future with Genevieve outside of Paradise, and I was like, thank God it's over. It's just like we've gone through this for so many weeks, and it's like, thank God we don't have to see this anymore. And I said, OMG, that Genevieve exit was like iconic. That she was not putting up with it. And I was like, you know what? Yes, girl, let's do it. So like she was like, you know what? I'm not gonna put up with this. I thought that was really good of her about that. And again, I don't think Aaron's a bad guy. I don't think he like means it in any way. I just think moment he got caught up, and that's pretty much all I had in the situation. But like I said, thank God it's over. It was kind of apparent after their first few fights. It was like, this is not going to work long term. It's just like their communication styles don't line up very much or very well that I think could last long term. So that's all. But
I don't know. I was just looking up too that apparently, so what the rumor was that Reality Steve said that apparently he was dating 2 women before he went on the show, and like there was some overlap between them based on how their storylines lined up. So there's a whole thing, and
here we go.
Somebody was like, why didn't they address it? And Genevieve was like, she didn't know about it until after the she didn't know about it until after they aired the reunion, because I guess it was like 3 weeks ago at this point. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, we'll get back to the
We'll get to it
later.
yeah.
But I think I was like, okay, I'm glad this didn't go further than this, because this just was not going well. And happier news. So then
Yes.
Danielle and Michael talk, and then he shows her this compass that he had gotten made for him and his late wife and his son. And he was just saying how he felt like the compass led him to Danielle, and I was like, okay, we're gonna all cry now. And
Yep.
so I didn't like take the note of this, but they left because like they didn't want to go through the whole stuff down which I think is fair given their situation. And neither did Tyler and Brittany like want to go through that whole thing either. But whatever. So that was that. And so they left. So they're a couple, but they're leaving. And it was interesting because like so Ashley, and Ben were talking about on the podcast today too. They were saying how like she liked how it used to always have to be that you either had to break up or go through this whole thing where you're like pressured to get engaged and whatever. And she's like, because think about it, like, and so it makes you wonder, like, so you think of couples like from last season of Paradise, like Thomas and Becca, and then Noah and Abigail, that like part of it's like, did they just stage that whole breakup so they had a reason to leave without having to go through that? I'm wondering.
Yeah. It could be a very good, like very good chance about that, I think.
But I'm like, because I think that's the point, is it's like, yeah, you could be like, oh my gosh, it causes drama, and then they end up back together. But I was just like, listen, I at least, I mean, obviously we know that some of these couples didn't go the distance even after they left together, but like Tyler and Brittany leaving together, like on a happy note at least, and just being like, all right, we're sure enough, and we just want to take this to the real world. We don't want to keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I think that's a good option for them to have.
Right.
Yeah. So then they all go to eat. They just like them have this like dinner. So it's really just Serena and Brandon and Victoria and
that was it. Yeah.
Johnny. And they do the fantasy suites, and then Victoria was concerned about Johnny wanting to be engaged, and that was like the end of the episode. Yeah. That's really all I had. Did you have anything else from the first episode?
I had a few things. I had a few things about the Danielle and Michael date, or them talking. I said the whole compass thing was very, very sweet. I really thought it was very just sincere and very, very beautiful to see. And then when he had said he wanted to introduce her to his son, that like I almost got really emotional about watching that, because that was just like so kind and just so sweet. And you could just see how genuine he was about that. So I thought that was really nice. And I've said that I feel like they're a really good couple and that their future seems very bright. That's what I feel. And I can also picture Danielle being a great stepmom to James. At least that's what I can see. I feel like there's like a really like comforting, like just sincereness to her that I feel like would be very, and I know we'll get to talk about them later with the reunion, but that's the vibe I got from her when he was talking about that to her. And I thought it was really interesting how she pointed out, he was like, oh, with you and Laura, that was like a really beautiful like relationship that you guys had, and she was like, looking back at mine, I can't say it was the same for me, but I feel like kind of seeing how you talk about Laura, like I really respect that for you and stuff like that. And I thought that was really sweet that she still brought that up, even if she maybe had like a harder time with her relationship.
Yeah.
And I remember talking about with you before, I think there are similar situations, at least in terms of losing loved ones and significant others. I think that there's a bond there that no one else can really understand, because they know the pain that goes with that and comes with that. So I think that's why it's like an added kind of like advantage to them, even if it's like a painful advantage. At least like it's something that they both know the emotional trauma it takes on you. So I feel like that is something that really like kind of connects them in a special way. And I said they had both obviously said that they want to build up to an engagement. I said very, very smart choice. I'm glad I don't want to rush into anything. And I think especially with Michael having a son, like obviously like they probably want to talk about that first and everything like that. I was like, oh, we're gonna have somebody move in with us now, like, and his son I think is still pretty young, so you don't want to like rush into your son having like somebody else in their life and stuff like that, like so suddenly. So I think that was a very smart choice that they want to build up to an engagement. I think on these shows, unless you're very, very committed and know like there's no doubt in
Mhm.
your mind, I feel like you should leave not engaged, or at least
Yeah.
consider that an option. 'Cause I just think it might work out a little bit better, at least in my opinion. And I thought it was
Yeah.
so funny, like at the end when like they were kissing and everything. I loved when like Brandon and Johnny and everybody on the beach was like, "Yay!" and like
Yeah.
all cheering. That was so sweet. So yeah, I really like them together. And like you had talked about with the final dinner with Victoria, Johnny, Serene, and Brandon, it all kind of went how I expected, because obviously Brandon and Serene, we all know everything's good with them and stuff like that. And then Victoria and Johnny, I kind of knew the whole thing with like the
Mhm.
engagement and stuff. We've seen it from last season with Gabby and
Yeah.
stuff. I knew that was going to be a little bit of an obstacle, so that made sense. And obviously they ended it
Yeah.
on the cliffhanger. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
all I had on the first one.
I also forgot that Serena and Brandon were talking about when they were peeing in the pool.
Oh, I know. That
The
was
pool
really
that's like
funny.
right behind me right now.
The one
Like
that's
that.
right behind. Yeah. I
No,
think Brandon, they were like on the opposite ends of it. That's
I'm
from
just
what
like,
they
what
were
are they
showing.
following after Ashley? No, that was the ocean. No, like, oh God, I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
enough of the peeing in the bodies of water.
Yes.
Okay, all right, on to the finale.
Yes.
Okay, so Kira and Romeo seem to be working out, so I guess we
Yeah.
have another successful couple for
Hey,
them.
yeah, let's go. I
After the
know.
whole craziness. Um, they definitely, just the general statement, they cut out so much from this reunion episode. It was so
They did.
obvious.
They did.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think I could have summed up 3 hours of this, to be perfectly honest, but I
Well,
kind of
yeah,
wish
I
I
know.
did. If it meant I got more clarity, it would have been worth it.
Yeah.
But Shanae and Logan were like talking right off the bat, and then they were like this about the whole situation. I don't know. I don't know why they were both seeming to be so like stubborn about it, but I just felt like they had communication issues and they're just
Yeah.
clearly not right for each other. At the end of the day, I think it was just um I don't think that he went out with them to spite her because of James, but I think the point was that it was a thing that we brought up about how like he was hurt by it and they didn't say anything, but you know
Yeah.
that whole thing. I think that was the whole thing, but
Yeah.
I don't know, that just like blew over. That was fast.
Yeah.
And then they turned to Kate, and then it was like apologize for the fact that he heard those things, and he's like, well, we kind of had mics on us all the time. And you know, Logan, like, good for him that he spoke up and he was saying like how he moved out to LA a few years ago, and like, you know, to and made ends meet what he had to do because he wanted
Yeah.
to pursue a career. I think he's in film, he said.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like he's doing what he's gonna do, and it's like
Right.
if it's not great for her, then fine, like whatever.
Fine.
And
Yeah.
good for him, because I think that's the thing is like I think that was Ashley and Jared on their podcast. I don't know if it was them. I'm like catching up on all that. I think it was Wells and Brandy's podcast because I'm a little bit behind, but I think it started to get to some of this stuff. And
Yeah.
I think it was, I don't know. All right, it was one of them was saying that I don't think that Logan's like been rude to any of the well, okay, I think it was just I don't want to say even what he said to Shanae was rude
Mm-mm.
about the stuff about feeling that way. He was expressing it. I just felt like he didn't express it the right time, the right way. But there's nothing Logan's really said that was like rude. He's a good guy. It's just like if
Yeah.
anything, he can kind of seem confused. And that was I think it was Wells and Brandy. Now that I think about it. So yeah, they're like he never really said anything rude. So it's like
No,
good
I
for
don't.
him though
No.
for speaking up
No.
for himself. Because she
Exactly.
treated him like garbage behind his back too.
The whole time, pretty much, to be honest with you.
It was just like aside from their date, that was it.
And that was it. And I'm like you said, I'm so happy he stood up for himself, because he could have kind of like been like, you know what, yeah, you're right, or like he like, yeah, I'm gonna change
Yeah.
or whatever. Like, but he didn't do anything wrong, and she kind of like expected so much more out of him, like kind of like unreasonably like just craziness. Like I think she expects so many unreasonable things out of him that's like not what you should be asking for.
Yeah.
Or at least like just in an unhealthy way. And like I said, I just said that and I said Logan's better off, and he totally is. I think he is
Yeah.
hands down, and I just wish nothing but the best for him. So, but like you said, I'm glad that they kind of realized that, because obviously he's better off anyway.
Oh, I don't know. It's crazy.
I
Then
know.
okay, so then they call Jacob down and he was talking about stuff, and then he goes down to see Jill and he's like, I'm open to exploring a relationship if you want to. And she said yes, and then he took her and then they ran off.
Yes, I know.
So I had kind of read them in the spoilers, and I was happy because I think, yeah, I think the way that whole thing went down, like, because like Jacob was with Kate, and then Kate went to Logan, and Jacob was like, oh, and then Jill came back, and then he's like, I don't
Yeah.
know, but I think that's the point, was like after everything got, like, they were out of paradise, they kind of thought it through.
Yeah.
And I guess I forgot where he's from. I assume he's from California. She's in Rhode Island, so I don't know. I'd be interested to see if it works.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't say I think it will go long term, but I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Maybe. I don't want to.
Maybe. Yeah, I could see something going with them, maybe. We'll see. But I thought it was really funny with him
Yeah.
just like, yeah, he said taking her off and stuff like that. That was really
Yeah. I do think that whole thing is genuine, though. Like,
yeah,
him
yeah, me
being
too.
interested and all that. Like, that's all genuine.
Me
100%.
too. Yeah, for sure.
Oh gosh, and then they go into the Rodney Eliza thing and
Oh, here we
Justin.
go.
So like Justin, they didn't even bring Justin up, or they didn't air it.
Yeah.
I just, again, this was like so short, and let me tell you, I cannot believe that she went back to the statement about how he should have said no, and he
Oh,
reiterated that
yeah.
he did later on say that he should have said no, and I
Yeah,
was like I'm thinking, like, how can you honestly still be on that
I know.
this many weeks after?
I know, that's crazy. I couldn't
And
believe.
I don't know. I can't.
No,
This whole thing
yeah.
was a mess. And Justin apparently tweeted something that he was just like, I didn't understand what he said, but he was like, what I was told was a mistake and wasn't a mistake, and now it's a
Yeah.
mistake, and like, this is why I was skeptical of it. So I think also oh, my shoulder cracked. I think Justin saying no to her was the right decision.
Right. Hands down. Totally agree. Especially the fact that like I just feel that you
Yeah.
knew from the beginning with like when he said no, or when she would change her mind so quickly, that it was just
Yeah.
like, you know what, it like makes sense that they're not meant for each other. And I feel like Rodney should just kind of like, obviously I don't think Eliza's a bad person. I think that she didn't do
No.
it to hurt Rodney in any mean or malicious way. I just think I'm glad that Rodney just stood up for himself, as he like was just like, you know what, I risk the best for you, but like I'm finally kind of getting at a good point in my healing process, and I kind of just want to move on. I'm glad he has enough respect for
Yeah.
himself to do that.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think so I think Justin, Rodney, and Eliza are all great people, and I think they'll find people with really no problem. But I just think kind of just they all should kind of go all of them should kind of just go their separate ways, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing too, is it's just like, she's at the, and I'm gonna say like, oh, she's not mature, but I think the point is that the point that she's at in her life is, and this isn't any demeaning Justin, it's like she's still distracted by like the shiny object, like, I think the point is that it's just, if she was more sure, if she was like more sure that she was ready to
Yeah.
be ready for like marriage, then she would have been more like, Rodney is my person, and seeing that,
Right.
and I think she's still going through that lesson, and now it's like, now having seen that Rodney now like got away,
Yeah.
I think it's she's gonna learn this lesson, I think, and
Yeah. I agree.
and I think that's the thing, like Justin, I think, kind of learned it too, because he wasn't gonna like go back, and I don't think it's like because Rodney and Justin have bad blood either, of course
Yeah.
not, it was just like, this is the way it played out, but
Yeah.
that was a kind of
Really
a
agree.
mess. And then Genevieve and Aaron.
Mm.
So she apologized for her emotional reactions, and he did the same and apologized for how he acted. So it was like that. To me, I was like, that's it. And
Yeah.
before I heard about these cheating allegations, I was like, could they potentially get back together? But now I don't want them to, if that's what happened. But
Yeah.
I think the thing is, like, someone else tweeted, they're like, girl, you have nothing to apologize for. I do feel like I think there were some times that she went overboard, but I can understand why she did in certain circumstances.
Yeah.
I think if anything, the biggest time that she went overboard was when Justin was on the date with Victoria,
Oh,
like the
yeah.
very, very beginning. That was worse, I think, out of
Yeah.
all of it. And I think the point is that obviously, like, her storming off to leave is not a great mechanism, like a coping mechanism and all that. And I think it's just I think it's just like, I think she's apologizing because she's just like embarrassed of like how it happened, and she's probably done some more work on herself to realize that's not the healthiest thing.
Yeah.
However, I can understand why she felt that way, because it's like she definitely had like an inkling that this wasn't right.
Yeah.
So, and he did also apologize for his stuff. I
Yeah.
don't know. I felt it was genuine, but I don't know. We're
No,
gonna
I
see
did too.
what cookie crumbles
No. Yeah. I
where
agree.
all these things come out. I don't know how much they're gonna pursue it now that the season's like over.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
No, but I agree with you.
I'm not too surprised that they didn't last. I mean,
No.
I was thinking, I was like, maybe they will get
Yeah.
back together.
Yeah. Maybe they will. I could see them maybe, but I just feel like it's kind of for the best if they don't.
Yeah. As well as for Tyler and Brittany. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So yeah, they definitely cut that a lot and it was a mess. And I was so bothered by this conversation.
Me too.
It was a hot mess. Okay, so Tyler tweeted something before, and I think the biggest thing is it's like, okay, she was talking about how you were Snapchatting me, you were texting me, you were doing this, you were this, that, and the other thing. And then somebody else was basically like, so she went overseas and then broke up with him over FaceTime. So like there's some confusion in this whole thing.
Yeah.
And I think the bottom line is it's just like the fact that you're gonna be like, oh, blah 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 blah, and then you go away and then you break up with them that time is like, if you look, there's certain times where you can't break up with somebody because you're like in person because you're not there to be able to be there in person, but it seemed like, I don't know. It's just the whole thing just seemed messy, and it's like maybe he was a little bit smothering or whatever. But I can't imagine that it was that much, and like clearly they're not right for each other, and
Yeah.
I don't, because I think what people were saying when they were talking about the spoilers, because like things that I guess were said that weren't aired or didn't get aired, was that she was saying about how she felt like he kind of was too reliant on her or like too much invested in her life and didn't have as much of his own life or something like
Yeah.
that. And I think that's the biggest thing. But it's like I could just imagine it's like, well, if you are getting ready to want to spend your life with someone, then you would want that.
Yeah.
And and I think it's just like, I think he just, as we saw from Rachel's season, he was just very invested and like
Yeah.
ready to be
Exactly.
married and all that. And I think didn't he say that he had bought a house for, I think that's
Yeah.
what somebody said, that he had bought a house
Yeah. I
for
think
a
so. That
previous.
sounds right. Yeah. And the whole crazy.
So,
Yeah.
oh no, I was just gonna say that's just clearly an example of like he definitely will go all out.
No, exactly. He definitely will. And I thought it was crazy. I don't know like if this is accurate or not, but I felt like I remember him saying he did say that it's crazy that the day that she broke up with him was also the day that the whole hometown with Rachel aired. So like that must have not been fun. That it's like, oh, he like was another relationship that he thought was going well, then got broken up on the same day that the whole hometown in Wildwood, that when Rachel broke up with him before she could even meet his family, aired that night too. Like that must have just been crazy.
That was insane. Like I know he said that, and I was just like, I don't know. I feel bad for him,
Oh, I
but
do too.
and you know what? I mean, look, I can understand if Brittany felt that way, and then she wants more freedom. Does she want a boyfriend or does she want freedom? And I think, and you know what bothered me the most actually was like she on her Instagram page, she put up photos the other day, and the caption was, "My boyfriend took these."
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, what boyfriend? Are you dating somebody else?
No, I know.
And if you're not, then that's like a slap in the face. Like, I don't know. That really bothered me,
No,
honestly.
me
And
too.
I really liked her, and I have a totally different opinion of her right now.
Me too.
And
I
it's
just
just like, whatever.
I just think Tyler deserves better, at least in my opinion, but
100%.
yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay, so next, Michael and Danielle. I think before we get into Michael and Danielle, there's the stuff going on with Sierra. So, I think they had a longer conversation than they aired. Obviously, I felt like his apology to her was genuine. I don't know. I could tell she was holding back and she had more to say. I don't know if she ever did say it and then they just didn't air it, but
Yeah.
I know there's other stuff that's been going on. So like apparently Danielle was on Caitlin's podcast, and I didn't listen to the episode yet, but apparently they were talking about Sierra, and when they kind of were like acting like, oh, what's her name? And they were kind of acting very insensitive to it. And then I was like, and then Caitlin DM'd Sierra to apologize, and then Sierra's like saying things, and then she tweeted her because she didn't read her DMs, and then it's a mess. It's really
Yeah.
a mess. And I think it's just, I didn't listen to that podcast episode yet, and it's like kind of upsetting to me because I feel like that type of behavior is just very out of character for Caitlyn and Danielle, and not for nothing. What they were saying is that like that podcast was recorded after they filmed the reunion
Yeah.
show. So like after she was cordial to Danielle and respectful and everything, they still acted like that. And
Mhm.
that's just like I don't know. I need to listen to the podcast episode, but I think I just hope it all gets remedied because
Yeah.
I feel for Sierra, and I don't know why Danielle and Caitlyn had the conversation the way they did, and I'll eventually listen to it and hear it myself. But
Yeah.
and it's just hard because it's like, yeah, I do feel for Sierra though, because that whole situation was a little bit much. Like it was just a little bit, it was just wrong. And I think the other thing too is like, I know there's the criticism too of like what Sierra did, but like she was very forward and very kind of like, I don't want to say pushy, but I think she was really trying to help Michael along. And like I do personally feel like some of the stuff she did was like it was a little bit too much and it was a little too pushy. I mean, it was coming from a
Yeah.
good place, but like so it was a little bit overwhelming to him and that whole thing. But I think some people were also like taking that stance, and I'm like, well, I agree with that to a point, but it's like it doesn't warrant. You're not gonna get like, don't treat her rudely because of it. She
Yeah.
cared. But yeah, I don't know if you had anything to say about that specifically before we talk about Michael and Danielle.
No. Pretty much like you had said, I thought the apology that Michael gave to Sierra was genuine. I thought that I really think they're both good people, and I thought it was just nice that they brought that up. It makes sense that
Mm-hmm.
it seemed like Sierra wanted to say more, but I think they just really tightly edited that
Mm-hmm.
reunion, so it just made sense that they didn't show everything that
Yeah.
they heard or that they filmed. But I'm interested to see, like you said, with the whole Caitlyn and Danielle thing about Sierra and stuff like that. I'm interested to see, like, I'm definitely going to listen to it and see kind of like the fuller story of
Yeah.
what happens. But that's pretty much all I have on them. And I just I wish Sierra the best, and I just hope everything works out for her.
Oh yeah, same. Sierra deserves somebody too.
She
I'm like
does,
100%.
exactly.
Oh, but
But
I
it made
mean,
sense though at the beginning though, or I felt like when it was her and Michael, like before Danielle came in, I felt like they weren't right for each other. At least for me, I think we were talking about that.
yeah, I think we kind of felt that way too, and I think it's just, I don't know. It's just I just still feel bad for how it went down and how this is like played out, because I feel like she's gotten like dragged through it, and
Me too.
it's just frustrating. But
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, on the bright side, I do feel like Michael and Danielle's relationship is going well. She's moving to Ohio, to Akron. She's not moving in, but she's moving to Akron, Ohio, so that way, they're closer to each other. And then while they were sitting there on the couch, he said, "I love you" to her, and it was like shocking, and she was shocked, and it was like everybody's like, "Oh," I mean, and let me tell you, for Sierra to be able to hold her cool after that, like hearing that,
I know.
it's hard. It's really
Yeah.
hard. But I mean, and like not for nothing, there were a lot of other people that like used to date other people there that they were
Right.
listening to all these other
Right.
things go down, and they kept it together. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm happy for Michael and Danielle. I hope they'll.
Too.
I think they'll work out.
Me too. I do too.
Um. Okay, so then,
Uh,
all the part we've been waiting for. So the
yes.
Victoria Johnny drama, and like, so based on they did not air everything that was said on the Twitter feed, like the Twitter thread that I had read a few weeks back with the like spoilers from the reunion. They aired their engagement when they were still in Mexico. He started to not feel good enough for her, and rumors started circulating supposedly like a few weeks after they um came back, like they got back home. And I think what they said in the thread of the spoiler was that they started arguing a lot and they were having issues, and apparently he called her those things that they did air the part they aired that part, but they didn't air the part where she supposedly threw a wine glass at him,
Mm.
because
Yeah.
that's what they said on the Twitter thread. um and it just was like, I, I'm just like reading my notes and I'm thinking like, do I explain like my thoughts on it, or just, yeah, I don't know. And then so, but that was the point, was they had Victoria basically say like, after that point, like once that happened, I told you I wasn't going to be engaged to you anymore. Like she just cut it off.
Yeah.
Um like it wasn't working out. And then Tyler was sitting there and he's ready to blow.
He's bad, yeah.
And so then they went outside, him and Johnny went outside to talk afterwards, and they kept like juxtaposing it with like when they were talking to Victoria and Greg, and then yeah, spoiler alert, Greg's there.
Yeah.
And then them outside, and like I don't know, the audience members' faces, including Justin's, were like, what the heck? They didn't show Andrew's face. And the whole thing with bringing Greg out, it was just so awkward and uncomfortable to
awkward.
watch. This is not going to last, in my opinion.
No.
I don't know. You give me your thoughts first.
No, I completely agree what you were saying. And I was about to say, I was like, I never thought I'd see Johnny propose. That was an interesting sight.
That too.
Yeah, that's I wasn't expecting that either. And then I thought it was funny when like Neil Lane was like asking, "Do you think you want to get engaged?" And then he was like, "Well, I didn't think I was going to come into this getting engaged." He was like, "Oh, okay, well that's important." And then they did the whole thing, obviously, like you said. And then I said, from my opinion, I don't know like what is true and what's not about this whole situation. But from my opinion, just what I was kind of gauging from everybody's like reactions and like kind of conversations and the way that they were interacting, I said, I don't believe she didn't start talking to Greg until after they were broken up. The whole thing seems really weird. I feel like she started talking to him earlier before anything was officially ended. That's my take on it. Because she just seems like all kind of like happy, like with Greg, like she didn't even seem like she really cared about like Johnny that much after this whole during this whole situation. And then like they changed the subject to Greg and she's like, oh, happy again. So I just feel like something's really fishy about that to me, in terms of like, she says, "Oh, I didn't cheat on him," and maybe like that's true, but I feel like she at least started talking to Greg, or at least started talking to someone, whoever, before stuff ended with her and Johnny. That's the impression I got from this thing. So
so I think they did say that they had known each other for a while through a mutual friend.
Yes.
So I don't know who the mutual friend was. I mean, obviously, once she came back, like they all obviously both knew Andrew, but listen, somebody's probably gonna do some deep dive on how long they've been commenting on stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that's the biggest thing is like, okay, look, they could have known each other beforehand and this and that and the other thing, but I think the biggest thing is like with the cheating, and I did notice that like Andrew, somebody was like, why, I know you're friends, but like why aren't you gonna call your friend out on this? And then Andrew had replied, he's like, what am I gonna call them out on, like falling in love when they were both single? Like don't like get your facts straight. So like that's Andrew's stance on it. And this is my thought process, and this is what I was explaining to my mom before. I think, look, if things got that bad between them, and I think she just was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 weeks after, she was like, I'm done. And she was done.
Yeah.
And maybe she was kind of like going through the motions of like trying to work it out, but she was done. So in her mind, she was single.
Yeah.
And that's what I think Johnny was saying. Like, you're going to just say this because it fits your narrative and your story and whatever. And I think at that point, in her mind, she was single. And in his mind, they were still going to try to make it work. So it's like both things can be. So is it really cheating if she's not intending to go back to Johnny?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to alleviate her of the guilt of that, if that's the case. But it's just like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know.
Maybe
it's just like in her mind, she was done. She was done. And I don't know. I mean, if he said those things, if somebody said those things to me, I wouldn't be happy.
I'd be bad too. Yeah.
That would be pretty bad. And like, I was also shocked to even think that he would say something like that. So I don't.
Yeah, I have no. Yeah.
Yeah, but then apparently she threw a wine glass at him. But notice how they didn't air that.
No, I know. It's just kind of a blueprint
Yeah.
of showing that they're not good together. So,
But even the way Greg was like telling the story about like them going to Rome and whatever, like, and it just seemed like they were like questioning them. Like everybody felt like it sounded weird.
yeah.
So I think that it's just like, there's just more to this, and I don't know. It's just messy. Whether she cheated or she didn't cheat, it's messy, and it's very telling about how they behave. And not for nothing, if I were Greg, I would be concerned, because it's like, if she did that to Johnny, she could do that to you.
Yeah.
And I don't want to like, I have a very different opinion of both of them now.
Yeah,
which is
me too.
shocking. Like I was like, I was like obsessed with Greg, like loved Greg, supported him after the thing with Katie season, totally that whole thing. I just felt like I understood where he was coming from it, like where he was coming from with the whole issue with Katie. Didn't totally love how it was handled, but like understood it. I
Yeah,
like followed him. We love the whole thing, like the bromance with Justin and Andrew and all
right.
them and all the guys, and love it, love it, love it. And it's just like I thought, and he talked about on the podcast that he's gone for therapy and he's like really done a lot of work on himself. And I was just like, like this guy's been through a lot in his life and all
Yeah,
these things and whatever. And I was like, this was like left field. I am
exactly.
shocked that
Yeah,
he
me
is
too.
getting involved with this, but I don't know. I don't think it's gonna last,
Me
but
neither.
we'll see what happens. And then apparently Johnny and Katie are following each other on Instagram.
Oh,
And Marlena, that was on, I know I texted you that before. Marlena, that was on Clayton season,
yeah,
like tweeted, and she's like, somebody tag him and tell him I'll go out with him for a drink and we'll get tattoos afterwards. And I was
yeah.
like, and then I don't know, it was
That
so,
tattoo thing was so weird.
I just don't, I mean, some people, I don't know. I don't have tattoos. I don't want tattoos, but I don't know. I
That
don't
whole
want to,
situation was strange. I don't even know.
I
Yeah,
don't want to pass judgment because, like, look, if Andrew's saying they were both Andrew was very direct when they were criticizing the whole thing with like Rodney and Justin and whatever. And like he's
yeah,
friends with Justin, and Andrew was basically like Rodney's the right choice, like Justin's a shiny object. He
yeah,
said that about his own friend. So I just feel like if based on Andrew's perception
yeah.
of things, if it was wrong, he would have called them out. And
Hmm.
if he's stating that they were both single, then they were both single.
Yes,
I mean, it doesn't mean that there wasn't like maybe Victoria was starting to set her sights on Greg before anything was like acted upon. But I don't know. I think either way, I still feel bad for Johnny.
me too.
And and I feel bad for Tyler. And I feel bad for Rodney.
Yes, everybody.
All the guys, like it was like really at the end of the season, I liked more the guys than I liked the girls, honestly.
Me too.
I'm sorry.
Me too.
It's horrible for me to say. But yeah, I don't know. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. Me too.
Let's get back to happier things.
Yes.
Brandon and Serene, they got engaged,
Yay.
and Jesse offered to get them married right away because he got ordained, and they did not choose that option, and I agree with that
Yeah,
because
me too.
apparently Brandon said that his mother said she would kill him if he did that without her. So, but yeah, they seem happy together. They're all good, and I'm just like, I just hope they last. This is
Me
like
too. They're
amazing.
very
So
cute together. I think they'll last.
yeah.
I think they're very good. And I just think that it seems like such a healthy relationship, from my opinion, from what I
Yeah.
can see. So I really
Yeah,
wish
and
the best for them.
it still feels that way. Like it's
Yes,
not,
no,
they just were
yeah,
very fortunate that it was like literally day one they connected, and then that's it.
that's it. Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
my
I
gosh.
agree with you.
And then the last things, like the first preview we got of Zach's season.
Yes.
It looks like there's a lot of happy moments, lots of drama, and then they were mentioning Tejwan, and I don't know if they meant the Tejwan that was on like the Paradise previously, and then Victoria was in the preview,
Oh yeah.
so she must have hosted one of his dates.
Oh, okay.
I was
Yeah,
like, why
yeah.
is Victoria in the preview
Yeah,
for Zach's
I know.
season? I don't know. I don't understand. But
I know. But I'm
and then
excited.
oh yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I know everybody's like, oh
I know everybody's, because I see all these comments. We were talking about this during the when they announced him as the Bachelor. I see
yeah,
all these comments still. It's like, please tell us when you actually bring us somebody who we asked for, like comments. And I'm like, just like, can you at least, like, if you don't want to watch, fine, but can you just stop like bringing down the dude? It's just like, I don't understand. Like, it's fine. I understand you like don't like it, or you like want somebody else, fine, but I don't get it.
listen, I think there's like a trust issue after we're like, oh, we're gonna bring in Clayton because we think he's great, and then we saw what happened, and then we're
Yeah.
like, we're gonna make two bachelorettes, and then I mean,
Saw
like
what
we love
happened. It was
Rachel and
okay,
Gabby.
but we saw what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, we love Rachel and Gabby, but like neither of them are with their person now. But I really still don't think that was a factor so much of it there being two bachelorettes, honestly. It
Yeah.
was just the guys that they got. And then now it's like, so it's like, okay, all right, now we're gonna have Zach.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hope he's the bachelor that we need. Maybe
Yes.
not the bachelor people wanted, but the bachelor we need.
Indeed. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and then last but not least, the bloopers from the whole season.
Yes.
There were so many bugs and the bats and the snakes, and there was the thing, and then Andrew was like, saw the snake in the ceiling, and he's like, it's
Oh,
been
I
there
know.
2 nights in a row. It's been sizing me up. I feel like they do that. Snakes
No,
do that.
I feel like they do too.
They do that. Like they size you up because they will like eat you.
Yes.
I don't understand how people own reptiles. I'm sorry. It's just the thing that I have a problem with, or snakes or anything. I don't. But I mean, this is obviously wild, but that I would be mortified.
Yeah.
I'm mortified. Somebody needs to talk to him more about that snake incident, like
Yes.
on a podcast. I need to know more. But anyway, oh, so that's it. That's all we have about Paradise.
What a crazy season of Paradise.
I'm glad it's over.
Me
I'm
too.
sorry.
I'm glad it's over.
I'm so glad it's over. We get a break until
We do.
January 23rd now, and I think we need it.
We do need
Oh.
it. I was just talking, we were talking about this last week, and I've been talking to my family about it. It's like, besides a few off weeks, maybe when they haven't had an episode or whatever, we've literally been recapping The Bachelorette, Dancing with the Stars, and Bachelor in Paradise since about mid-July, and it's mid-November. So
Yeah.
we've been pretty much going every week since then, and it's been a lot of fun. But like you said, I'm glad we're gonna get a break.
Get a little break.
Exactly, but it's been fun.
And thank you all for
Yes, thank you guys for watching. It's been so awesome to see your support. It means a lot.
Yeah. And I'll do our closing out.
Let's do it.
Okay, so well, thank you all so much for listening to today's episode. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to us on YouTube, hit the post notification bell, and if you enjoyed it, share it with a friend. Also, follow us on Instagram at Ballrooms and Bachelors, and on our personal Instagram accounts, which are linked in our Instagram bio and appear at the end screen of the episode. We now, as we just said, we are going to go take kind of like a little bit of a break. Not all the way until January 23rd when The Bachelor premieres, but we're planning to do some themed episodes maybe in between. It's not going to be every week, but we might have some guests on, so it's just going to kind of be timed on the guests and just like us having some time. The holidays are coming and things like that. But I think that's really it. So just stay tuned on Instagram. We're also probably going to post some like of the blooper reels from like the episodes that we have on YouTube. So just stay tuned for all of that. And we will not necessarily see you next week, but we will see you soon.
I'll see you guys soon. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.